review of the zoning ordinance information.
We left off chapter 5, page 23, manufactured homes zoning district.
Is that in the iPad somewhere?
Page
Yes.
31.
Page 31, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's right here. Oh, good. Mark's cheat good.
You said page 23?
Page 23 in the hard copy.
31 on your hard drive. It should be open right to it.
Page 31 if you're on the iPad.
Thank you.
Okay, so 5.5 manufactured homes, zoning district, purpose, definitions. Rick, do you have anything here that seems in need of replacement?
I did not, Jerry. I did have a note here that we were going to discuss this with Dave to see if, my recollection is whether we have to allow manufactured housing districts or not, Dave.
You do.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You do.
You don't have any choice, so.
I think the other thing we were worried about was, what is a manufactured home?
Well, there's a definition
There
statutorily
is.
in
Okay.
under the regs.
It used to be a mobile home until a certain date, and like, was that 1970s?
81.
Is it 81?
81.
Okay. After, yes, January 1 of 81, after that it became a manufactured home. So mobile homes, manufactured homes are the same names or different names for the same thing, but they are manufactured homes after that. Okay. 20.
So, items 1 through 10, anybody have any questions, comments?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Rick, did we check, and I haven't checked, but if we checked these terms and definition conditions against the statute?
No.
When this was done initially, those definitions were not invented. They were taken out of the statute. So it was an adoption of statutory terms and provisions for enforcement, utilization purposes. And I just suggest
Okay. Yeah, I think we need to go over this because, again, manufactured home, sometimes covenances read, nothing previously erected elsewhere in whole or in part should be moved upon any lot. Well, that's exactly what Lennar's doing. They're building walls and they're bringing it, it's been erected in part, and now they're putting the parts together to make the whole house. So I don't want to mix words here, and maybe it's not a big deal only to me.
I don't think that's what's contemplated by this zoning district.
Okay.
This is
Manufactured, the word manufactured home has a definite definition.
it does.
Okay.
Okay.
It does.
What I found online is a manufactured home, formerly known as a mobile home, is built to manufactured home construction and safety standards, HUD code, and displays a red certification label on the exterior of each transportable section. Manufactured homes are built in a controlled environment of a manufacturing plant and are transported in one or more sections on a permanent chassis. What is the difference between manufactured and modular? Manufactured homes are constructed according to a code administered by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. The HUD code, unlike conventional building codes, requires manufactured homes to be constructed on a permanent chassis. Modular homes are constructed to the same state, local, or regional building codes as site-built homes.
Okay. And I guess recreational vehicle is, as it mentions here, is not built to federal manufactured housing construction and safety standards and
It
codes.
isn't, and I used to describe this to clients and anybody asking that it was like having the difference between a Yugo and a Beamer. And if you've been to the manufactured housing factories, you'll see the conditions are pretty clean. I mean, it's fairly optimal environment to travel and jostle and all of that. Shipping something here is a question probably at times, but the environment in which they're built in and the materials that they use are substantially elevated.
They used to have a factory in Lafayette, I don't know if they still have one down there
All
now.
you have to do is go over to St. Joe County and east, you'll find half a dozen or more. Indiana's a really popular and busy manufactured housing state.
Okay. All right, section C, Rick, anything for section C, applicability?
I had nothing, no.
Okay, anybody have anything for that section? No? Okay, page. Okay,
Was Chuck
exterior,
gonna say something?
hey Chuck,
He's still muted.
Oh, he's muted.
Yeah,
are you good?
yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all right. Section D, we have a highlighted area having more than 950 square feet of occupied space.
Yeah, that's something you have some discretion over. If you want to increase that, you want it smaller. It's a standard where if you increase it, you're gonna control and maybe even what I want to say, maybe even not prohibit, but discourage. Thanks, Jill. Discourage those from being in the community, because as Dave said, you can't eliminate it as a zoning district, but you don't necessarily want to encourage it either. And if you don't, then you want to increase your standards for, like, it's got to be on a 10,000 square foot lot, for example. Has to be a minimum square footage. There's some things I believe that you can do from a bulk standards perspective to discourage them.
So to discourage them, you're suggesting to raise the 950?
I wanted to bring it to your attention in case you wanted to increase that to discourage them, yes.
What would be a number that would be discouraging but legal?
Dave, I don't think there's an issue with legal necessarily. I mean,
No,
you could put,
This is about discouragement and return on investment. This is about, size of home on size of lot type thing. And that's how you need to do it.
so if
There's a
you put,
minimum for just a normal residential, so
Right, but that contemplates stick build on site property.
So what does this actually mean then? To have more than 900 square feet of occupied space in a double section or larger multi-section unit? They're talking about two halves now,
a double wide as opposed to a single.
a double wide.
Yeah.
Those double wides, it doesn't take long to get to 1,500 real easy.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. You could put the same standards in here in terms of size as you do for a ranch in an R1 or R2.
Well, I think where Heather's going with that was exactly where we should go.
Which,
10,000.
it's 1,200, right? What's the minimum square footage on a single family?
What, at 10,000 square feet?
no,
Well, I'm talking about the
she's
lot.
talking about the size of the unit.
I'm talking about where we can place it. If you pay, you gotta put it on a 10,000 square foot lot. It's 10,000, right? 10,000 now?
The
In-
lot,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
then the square footage is, I thought, 1,200 of the
Yeah,
house.
it's bigger than that.
It's 14 something? Isn't that where we're at, what houses now?
I think it's 14 something.
Yeah.
In R1, for example, it's 1,500 square
So
feet
it's 1,500.
for single story, and then it goes into bi-level and two
So if we did 1,600 square feet on a 10,000 square foot lot, it would be discouraged significantly, wouldn't it?
It would.
Oh, sure.
Anybody have any thoughts? Don, you see any boomerangs with this? No?
This is totally about preemption.
Yeah. John?
Well, what you're saying is you don't want, you're trying to discourage mobile homes as opposed to manufactured homes?
Yes.
No, they're not mobile homes anymore. You're trying to discourage that product, though, yes, John, whether it's a mobile home or manufactured home. If you want to
Discouraging either
discourage
one.
the product, then increase the size of the minimum size it has to be in the community.
Which the numbers I heard were 10,000 and 1,600 for the size of the unit?
Yeah, that's why I was just shooting from the hip throwing out, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they can bring us some pretty nice manufactured homes, wall by wall, you know.
Well, that's where my problem is with the definition, because that's what Lennar is doing right now. They're bringing the walls in on a trailer and then putting them together.
But that's modular construction, that's different
Okay.
from manufactured.
And again, this language is similar to what I know it, but you know this better.
Yeah, modular construction is certainly permitted. But
Modular construction, I'm okay with. Manufactured, like with the mobile and that, I'm not,
Right.
Bingo. Yep, we're all on the same page, I think.
right?
Strack and Van Til's, built their, units in, I think, Joliet, and then hauled them and put them in place.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so, if everybody's good with 16 and 10,000, we can move on.
Sure.
Okay. Anything else in section D?
By the way, if
Yeah.
people object to that, they can come to the BCA for development.
Okay.
So they have relief if they have a different size or lesser sized.
And in the future, and in the future, there may be some really cool stuff showing up. We don't know.
You
You
never
never
know.
know. You have.
No,
Oh, you are.
no.
Okay,
That might be.
section E. Rick, everything seem, kind of okay here to you?
Yes.
Section G, permits,
Did you skip F?
installation standards. Yep,
Do we,
I did.
do we have a resort zoning still? Are we going to?
Yes.
Should that be included in that list or no?
And, oh, I see, in the table there?
Yeah,
Don?
section E.
Yeah.
What is it, Don? Resort?
I think resort zoning should be included in that. It's one of the residential uses that's permitted.
And that would be permitted in,
Yeah.
in there, yeah.
What would be the benefit of adding resort to that?
Well, we already have it.
It's a zoning district we already have, so we have to identify whether we're gonna permit it or not permit it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, section, F, installation standards, that seems pretty straightforward. Section G, nothing there of, any concern. Support system, failure to obtain required permits. Item 3 is pretty easy, penalty for violation, subject to removal. Let's see, section 1, parking requirements, minimum of 2 off-street parking places shall be required per home.
Right, I'm just suggesting that we have the same regulations for that as we do for other single families.
Okay, landscape requirements, lighting's good, signs, compliance with chapter 15 herein. Yeah, took your computer, Johnny.
No problem.
Let's see, chapter 6, business districts, purpose, general provisions. Section C. Anything here, Rick?
Well, in section B2, I've got that, we have that,
Yeah,
you see what I've got crossed out there?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's really impossible to police, so. Section, I didn't have anything in section C.
Okay. Then section C,
Section C, number 31,
31.
removing that selling new merchandise exclusively.
Right. So, which is consistent with the change in B2.
Okay, and then, section D, item 37, eliminate the any use permitted in community business B2 zoning district.
Yeah. you're in the B1 zoning district right now, so you don't want to allow any use permitted in B2 in your B1 district. And keep in mind that, I don't know if Dave has finalized his thoughts about the special exception, but we've had some discussion in past meetings about getting rid of special exceptions altogether.
Please.
So if we're gonna do that, then there's a lot of this that I can clean up that refers to anything that refers to special exceptions.
It's my recommendation now, a year ago, a year from now,
So-
get rid of it.
Okay, so item 38, where it says approval, A through F, including the special exception paragraph. and
Right.
Everything in section E will be gone.
Yes.
Okay, does anybody have an issue with that?
I'm sorry, wait a minute. Everything in section 38 will be gone. But no, both requirements are for the zoning district. So when you get into section E, those will still be applicable.
Okay, so everything from 38 to section E, everything in the middle will be gone.
Right. We're going to get rid of reference to special exceptions altogether.
Okay,
37 and 38.
37, 38.
Right.
Okay. Okay, everybody good with that? Section E, bulk requirements,
I had a question
Yeah.
on this one. Number 36 with the drive-up service windows. For example, if they were putting in a bank, we still want to leave plan commission approval on a drive-up window?
yeah, I think so, so we don't end up with a safety top issue.
Okay, that's why I'm asking.
No, I mean, not really, I mean,
Well, they'll be here anyways, so.
It's also common, that's a common review
Okay,
method.
and I foresee a drive-up window in the near future on one of the new buildings on 41, so.
Well, if you come by my office at 12 o'clock, you'll see the necessity of review. McDonald's,
Yeah.
McDonald's, it's
Sure.
poster child for.
Yeah.
I was gonna
They
say,
do well.
the same
They
thing
do
with
well.
10.
Oh, they're like 3 o'clock.
Yeah, let's
Where is that in Eaton?
let's leave that, drive-up window.
Okay,
Let's see, section D 37, get rid of section A. 37, what did I do? Oh, no,
Section
I
E.
hit the wrong thing. Okay, yeah, maximum height of the building, shall be, not to exceed 30 feet. Get rid of the 2 stories. Minimum lot, we need to do something with minimum lot and width. 50 feet.
Well, again, you're in B1, so that's the
Okay.
smaller, contemplated to be smaller lot development, more neighborhood type development. It's not,
Okay.
5,000 seems really small though, doesn't it, or no?
this is commercial.
Well, how big is the Copperleaf property? Just asking you because you might know.
I don't know.
Come
Don't know anything about it.
What seems small, Heather?
5,000 square feet for a B1 commercial property.
That's pretty good size. Your little
The lot,
copper leaf, no,
this is lot area.
Yeah, I'm asking about.
I don't know, I truly don't.
yeah, 5,000 is not small. That's pretty big.
Well, what are we requiring for a single family?
Well, 100 by 100 is what, 10,000, right? So
Yeah.
100 by
20,
50.
25 by 100, yeah.
50 by, yeah.
That's the minimum it has to be. It can certainly be bigger than that. It's just the minimum
Okay.
has to be at least 5,000 square feet.
Is that pretty typical?
I would say that is small for commercial, but you've got some commercial properties that are that small already.
Well-
This is existing language, by the way. This is not change, this is not, a recommendation for a change, so.
Now, one
It's
thing
just-
we're not really discussing here or haven't with the B1 district is, do you guys recall the last year or two, we've talked about, especially, like from the fire station over around to the town grounds, how to promote a bike path, how to, if people buy, like the Wahlbergs, it's pretty cool. It's a little house, it's a studio. If somebody wants to build a nail salon. So should we build that into this, or should we just make that something separate altogether, Rick.
Well,
That'd make like a B1 district, if somebody so choose to do a nail salon, parking, or not parking, but,
Barber shop.
guitar lessons.
It's just like
barber
Dragon Bob, it's
shop.
just Dragon Bob's now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But some of that area is zoned for it, and some
Yeah.
isn't. I would say the spot that shouldn't be is from maybe Ella Brady to the Brown condos, or even to the Chambers. That's all home
Shouldn't be.
on the water, maybe shouldn't be, but the other side of the street, like I'm thinking over by where Greg Parker's is across from Hunley's, if that whole area became like a Cedarburg, Wisconsin, or some other little eclectic town that's near a lake, or, you know, in the future for tourists, it's a walking path, it's 25 miles per hour zone, it's
Right.
kind of nice.
but you're talking about zoning of property now.
Yes, but
And-
those would be smaller than 5,000 square feet, maybe, some of them little houses.
Yeah, they could be, and that's where we
Like
get
the shoe
into.
shop where the cop lives.
Yeah.
That's where we later get into the discussion about legacy lots and the allowance for those, and those can be smaller than what we're talking about here.
This would fit next to Copper Leaf that Dave Carey owns.
Correct.
This is kind of new stuff. So, the front yard, side yard.
For an idea, Copperleaf is 250 by 150.
Oh, okay. You hear that? That sound familiar? Copper, 250 by 150? I don't recall. Okay, front yard, side yard,
It's an acre.
let's see, 23, rear yard, 30 feet, we're good there. Not more than 50% of the lot should be covered, I think we're good with that. Page 6.2, B2, Community Business Zoning District, purpose. Item 2, we need to remove, consists of 90% new merchandise, any goods. So we're doing all new for B2. Size, chapter 15, lighting, chapter 14, landscaping. Anything here pops out at anybody?
No.
Why do we have tailor shop marked out if we have dressmaker? That's sexist.
CRT.
I don't know what tailor shop is, maybe. Person that hems.
That's a him clothing
Down
store.
from Point on the Square named Sophie.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's suits, men's,
Yeah.
women's, dresses.
But that should fit okay in
Long
that
wear.
B2, same as
Were we adding day spa? Is that why it was highlighted?
Yes.
Or is that a definition we have to be careful of? Okay.
Why is tailor shop crossed off though?
could be a typo. Could it be a typo, Jill?
I think it was, yeah, there's no reason to cross that out.
Yeah, I would agree.
Anything else on this list? Give anybody the creeps? No? Video rentals. We'll leave that on there just for nostalgia purposes.
Yeah.
Section D, special exceptions. We're getting rid of those also for B2? Is that your advice,
Yes,
Mr. Austin?
yes, we're getting rid of that everywhere.
Okay. Special exceptions everywhere. Nobody's special anymore.
That's
All
right.
of section D will be gone?
All of section D will be gone. That's what I'm.
Yes.
Yeah, because if it doesn't meet that, they have to go to BZA, period.
So,
And you need for a use variance.
so we're gonna get to the bulk standards of section E, let's see, 40-foot height, 2 stories is gone. 10.
Why is this 40 and the other one was 30?
It was.
It's the B2 zoning
B2.
district,
Two.
yeah, more
I
intense,
understand that, but
Oh,
maybe it's a taller building?
yeah.
This is all gone.
John, how big are those buildings on Indiana and 109? They go north there? Those are just 2 stories?
Yeah, those are probably.
They're 2 stories.
It's just 2 stories, but they're, the way they're built are.
One's on the east side?
So if you had 4 stories, you could end up with 3 floors.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a 2-story building, really. Or any kind of a
Yeah, so
commercial type.
the question was, why does it need to be 40? We're getting into a 3-story building at that point, right?
No, it's 30s. She asked 30, why is it?
No, B1 is 30, B2
B1 is
is
30.
40.
Section E of B2, John.
My question is, why is B2 40 and B1 is 30?
The denser, it's the denser use.
Good question, I don't know.
Higher peak.
Well, I mean, we're talking about a 3-story building at this point.
If you're close to it.
Do any of those
It'd be tough with the
B2
roof.
uses require a bigger building, right? Sporting goods store, secondhand clothing, photography, pet, paint, wall paint.
I feel like for the most part, no, and if they want extra space, they would just have to come in front of the board. I don't like 40 personally, but that's just me.
The condos down the street from where Heather lives, have got to be at least 40 feet. There's 3 stories, right? And a huge room. Yeah. Is that a B2 business that we think would fit somewhere here? Building?
Well, I think what would probably be, Jerry, is you'd have a B2 business with condos above.
Yeah,
like
mixed
what-
use.
Mixed
Yeah.
use. Like across from Dave's office.
But I'm talking about a
Yeah.
building that big somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, and that would be the only thing I can think of is there's
Yeah.
residential above a tailor shop.
That could happen, though.
It could.
It could happen here on Moore Street pretty easily.
Yeah.
We talked about it,
Yeah.
council. knows.
Is a 3-story building something we
That'd be too.
Well, actually,
would
yeah.
like to have on Morris?
The Brunt Farm, lot and bus,
The Brunt
that's
Farm.
all zone B2. That could happen there. The retail establishment on the bottom floor
That's been
and
the
above it
best
is
one.
condos.
The third floor is pretty valuable.
Yeah, he wanted all residential, and we told him we wanted business on the bottom.
Just for perspective, and it's a good catch on Heather's part, but B1 and B3 have a 30-foot height minimum, B2 has 40.
And make it
So
30.
if we're gonna keep 40 feet in B2, we probably should go to 40 feet in B3.
I like 30.
Or do 30 feet in all of them.
Yeah, let's leave 30 and we can negotiate.
30 in all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's, we have a little control about what the
Yeah.
outside building's gonna look like.
That is a current regulation, though.
Yeah.
That 40 feet is in the zoning ordinance now. So that was not a proposed change. But yeah, if we change it to 30, then all of our commercial zoning districts are the same.
Well, it's the same thing for B2 now, has a lot area of no less than 10,000. We went from 5,000 now to 10. Should that not be uniform?
No, because you're getting higher intense uses. B2 should be larger lots, B3 should be larger lots. Same thing, it goes kind of in reverse in residential, but in residential, your R1 are your larger lots, R2 are the smaller lots, and R3 get smaller yet.
Well, I like
but
10,000 though.
in-
I don't like 5,000.
If you want to go bigger if you're saying you want to go bigger for the B1, that makes more sense than going to 5,000 square feet for a B2.
Yeah.
B2 should be a bigger lot. It's higher intense uses, generally speaking.
I think 5,000 is too small, is my point. I like 10,000.
Depends on how much control you want. Like
But
a
again, for a-
neighborhood business
for a walk-
specification,
For a
really.
little nail salon,
Well,
what's your real estate office now? How big is that lot?
I have no idea.
How much?
Measure it?
Hold on.
I mean, it's like,
she works the inside.
it's a neighborhood business, could be a nail salon, was a tattoo parlor.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter,
Like a
because
motorcycle
if you
shop.
wanna put something bigger in, then they gotta come before the zoning board to get approval for a bigger lot, right?
And it does provide more control.
So let's,
No, she's saying she wants to make it bigger out of the gate.
I say make it, I agree with her, make it 10,000,
In B1,
yes. I would say that, because you got a business coming in and he wants to expand.
More than that,
He's
it's
got
got a
10,000, square
Call
foot
150 by 100.
lot.
Where do we have business that needs to expand?
13,200.
No,
So Heather, your
15,000.
place where you're at now is 13,200,
It's like 15. Call it 15.
or maybe 15,000.
Well, let's,
So
Yeah.
The lot or the?
your property.
Both. Yep.
So 10,000 is a little bit smaller than that. And you would fall into what district here? B2?
2.
For B1, I like 5,000 only because there's a lot of, like, you know, next to Larry,
Yeah, but we're
Stinger.
talking, right, but you're talking about existing non-conforming now,
True.
and that next to Larry would certainly have all kinds of special
Yeah, you might be,
circumstances.
parking would be an issue no matter what, on a
Yes.
5,000 square foot lot. So,
Yes.
yeah, I'm with you, John.
Yeah, I think,
Make it
yeah,
10.
let's make B2 10. I'm sorry, make B1 10.
110, okay.
Chuck, you have any issues?
That's for Q1, Q2,
He was in his chair in his garage.
So I don't know what.
You know,
He's getting water, he's busy.
okay, so B1 is now 10,000.
Yes.
Okay. Back to this B2, the height is gonna be 30. All these things allow us a little more control. Let's see, side yard, rear yard's 30, 50% lot coverage. Okay, B3, general business zoning, general provisions, we're gonna take out 90% of new merchandise. The premises, everything else seems to follow our logic here. Special activity permits may be obtained for temporary outdoor sales. Here's the uses. Does anybody have any issues with the uses on this B3?
Frozen food store, including locker rental.
Yeah, I'm not so, well,
Can you?
I guess a huge building, I mean,
Like a refrigerated warehouse?
well, let's say the Schillings building by Casey's. Let's say they insulated the inside and made a refrigerated warehouse out of it.
That'd be a new industry for them.
I think it's 22 now.
Well, that Rory guy
Typewriter.
used to rent his back bay to some guy that was a butcher. He had a freezer.
You take out typewriter and calculator service and everything?
That's pretty funny.
No, I still have.
That's for nostalgia purposes.
Typewriter?
Didn't any B3 have to come to the BZA anyway?
No.
No?
That's M1.
Permitted in 48.
Okay,
You need to look carefully at this.
yeah.
There may be some that just have 40 years of history being in the B3, but don't belong there.
Yeah,
Things have changed in the community. You have new
I think
B3, B2 businesses, developments coming into the community.
I think the, what was the, B3 was 10,000 also, right?
B3 is 20,000 square foot lots minimum.
20,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get into, for example, item 3, auto service center and automobile service station. The old Circle O's building that was being rented to, what was it, Frank's, not Frank's, what was that guy's name, Frampton?
Yeah, Frank.
Frampton, he had cars everywhere, stuff everywhere, he was painting cars, that place was out of control.
only supposed to have 10 vehicles or exceeded that.
Where are you at, what page are you on?
I'm in, let's see,
Chapter 6, page 40.
yes, page 40.
On the hard copy, anyway.
49 if you're electronic.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I think 20,000 square feet of certain businesses like this may not be a wise idea.
You think it's too small? Do you think you need, that needs to be bigger?
I'm thinking that it turns into it's something that size, we've seen it be just chaos.
We've had that issue in the community before also. On West Side Auto, on Lowerman and 141st.
Yeah.
We had too small a site or too large a inventory and backlog of cars and vehicles and stuff.
Heavy
Well,
equipment.
the contractor acre is what, 40,000 square feet, right? So that's a half acre.
To have a
20,000 is about a half. So, I don't know. Just for the hell of it, see what West Side Auto's property is.
Where's that at?
I would think it's less than a half acre.
Larry Nagy's property,
Or Nagy's, that's probably it.
because he has two
Yeah,
things
two
going,
names.
or Larry does, one being the repair and the other being the auto. But there were days and times when he was really, really busy, and he had a lot of cars around. They were all permitted, everything was right.
.3 acre.
1.3 or
But you
1.4.
kinda get an idea of
Yeah,
how it can be.
well, and like West Side Auto Body, when Mr. Thorne had it, there were pieces of heavy equipment that were taken apart for months and months and months.
Beating up half the parking lot.
It was just it was an eyesore.
Half the
And
parking
I know the new guy didn't like all the rules, but he seems to be adhering rather well.
Yeah, he does. I think so.
Yeah,
too.
he moves things around, yeah, he's, I like what I see there.
We also have to remember that we have a lot of new businesses with new buildings in the community, so it's the time to tighten up so that we maintain that quality and that value. Valuations are preserved.
Based on what we've been discussing,
I mean, I think
Changing
you
this-
could go
changing
B3
this-
to 40,000 is easy, because if you do any B3 business, you're gonna need proper parking for your employees. Typically, B3, if you look at the uses of what B3 is, you know, there's catering establishment, you're gonna have workers there cooking.
what square footage are you talking about?
43,360.
Right down below, Jared, it says,
43. Okay. Who wants to double the size of that B3?
I don't think it hurts, is all I'm
From
saying.
20 to 40,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Rick, what's your opinion on other towns? Anything come to mind?
Are we gonna have, we're gonna have less control?
More control.
More control,
More control.
bigger.
Yeah.
Well, there's more permissiveness at the same time.
Because right now, the minimum
Yeah.
lot is 20,000, Jerry, on the bottom of
Push
page.
people
That,
find
I think
something.
that's fairly small for a commercial, a B3 lot.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think the 40,000, that's almost an acre, I think that works.
And if somebody wanted less, then they have to come in here.
Yeah, developmental variance.
Okay, yeah.
Simple.
Make it 40.
Make it 40. Bring it to 40.
Yeah, 40.
You like, okay, there you are, Chuck.
Got it.
You got us covered.
Okay, front yard, Don, Rick, side yard, rear yard, budding such a, do we need to put anything there for screening? No evergreen material scattered throughout, not less than 50%.
I think it references,
Like
section
what?
B references landscaping and screening already, I think. I think it's uniform.
Yeah, rear yard.
Yeah, but does this give us an opportunity to put more teeth into or more detail and definition into what screening is, particularly because
It does exactly that.
In which
most
way?
likely
Like,
there'll be residential against this that will cause flags to flutter.
Yeah, well, like
which
what
is
we made
covered
Richie.
already, so what do you want to do then?
Well, what is the screening definition right now?
Any
Any
business or industrial abutting against residential is required to follow the screening requirements.
Number 3,
Okay.
where a commercial building is located on a lot which abuts property zoned for residential use, an opaque landscape screen, comma, an opaque fence or screening having a maximum height of 6 feet shall be provided along any side and or, it's not rear, it's rear, there's a typo there, lot line contiguous to the property zone for residential use.
Actually, I had thought about this in context of bringing this up tonight, but, you know, forum content might be of some value. If you remember when we sat here, with Rich Steele, the Business Against the Summer Winds Residential, and we were basically designing, screening.
Yeah,
And, you know, if there's kind of a pro forma or a model against which people can work with, it takes a lot of the burden off us, because kind of the burden shifted from the developer and property owners to us.
Well, that one was quirky when that was platted, he was abutting ag.
right, but remember, but right,
Everything that you like.
but when he came in right after Summer Winds, the add-on, that's when things had to mesh. Now, you know, the berms that, hey, we have now and bushes that act as screening, those are fantastic. But the 6-foot fence or arborvitaes or whatever, I mean, this is what, I mean, we need to nail this down. Instead of sitting up here negotiating with petitioners about fences and whose fence it is and bushes and arborvitaes and, you know, not arborvitaes that will be 6 feet tall, but arborvitaes that are 6 feet tall.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, we really need to,
Do we wanna add something right there, right now?
well, that's what Dave was suggesting,
revise-
we have some teeth.
You can put more detail to the greenery option, I guess, if you wanna call it that,
And leave the
your
6 foot,
evergreen.
and leave the 6 foot privacy fence?
Yeah, I mean, unless you wanna make it 8, that's
So,
a pretty big
so Rick,
fence.
maybe we put an asterisk there, and then we take a look at what some other, Jill, maybe we put an asterisk on that item, and we take a look at what some other communities are doing? So what we're saying is, if you have arborvitae, they have to be 6 feet, which would be the height of a,
At the time of
at the time
planting.
of planting,
Yeah, yeah.
versus, hey, I planted them, they're gonna someday be 6 feet.
And do we want, you know, do we want arborvitaes, when you got B3, you want arborvitaes and spacing, do you want those and a fence? You know, is the business gonna want the fence for security purposes and how it's all?
Or you should have one or the other.
Right,
Give it an option.
or do you have a berm? If there's room for a berm.
You can always say another screening option that can be determined, whatever,
Right.
but then you start opening yourself up to
Yeah,
other mysterious options.
Yeah.
so Rick, you're thinking one or the other?
One or the other, yeah.
And
Yeah.
does anybody have a issue with an 8-foot fence?
No.
On properties like this?
I don't.
I don't.
I don't either. You see a problem with that?
So Rick,
No,
you suggesting,
commercial property should be allowed to have 8-foot fences. Residential should be limited to 6, commercial and industrial should be able to go to 8.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe we change it to 8.
Yeah,
Or arborvitae,
yeah,
or greenery
yeah.
of equal height.
Who can do a little language?
That's Jill's job. She likes it.
Okay.
We have chapter 13 too, or section 13, chapter 13 that also covers landscaping, so we'll
Right.
need to make sure everything's consistent.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, I don't think berms is a bad idea. It works good for everybody because the dirt
Right.
doesn't have to leave the property.
So if you've got a 3-foot berm, you may only need a 3-foot evergreen.
Yeah,
Yeah, as long as you provide a 6-foot,
6 foot.
minimum 6-foot opaque.
From grade at your rear line
Yeah.
or something like that.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
yeah. Is that?
I thought it said
is that-
8 feet.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
and
Or 8 feet
5.
for B3,
Yeah.
and you meant 6 foot for B2.
Residential.
You wanna keep 6 foot as B2?
Well,
You're gonna
I thought
differ?
that's what Rick said.
I think he said residential.
No, he said residential.
Residential, yeah,
Okay.
6 foot.
That's just, that's not for screening necessarily, that's just the fencing requirement.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this is for new, so
Right.
somebody is taking an existing home, building a business,
Yeah,
they can ask for a change.
yeah. Yep. All right.
this is still our opportunity to go to form-based explanation of this.
Yeah,
Picture speaks 1,000 words.
well, that's even better idea.
Well, it would make the text easier.
Okay. Is that something that you need to put together, Dave, or is that something
Well, I
Jill needs to
have
put?
to start.
Okay, all right.
I think it's gonna be,
I think
shoot
it's,
again.
I think it will be rather simple.
Well, it's not simple, like,
No, I meant what we're asking,
yeah, the ask is simple.
the ask is simple.
Yeah.
Okay, section C, permitted uses, item number 6. Is that, in red, is that a question about adding that? I'm on page, 45.
Well, we're in plan resort zone.
Chapter 6, page, chapter 6, page 45.
45, yeah, we have item 6 and item 7. There's some red things,
Right.
You're suggesting adding those?
Those are left over from your discussions of
Okay.
4 years ago. So, it just seems like.
Is that word better than the BAR word?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just saying, I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
You'll have that.
yeah. But if you're okay with those uses, then I can add them, but those were question marks the first time you were looking at this in 2017, I think.
Yeah.
okay.
Should
So
7
item,
include verbos and all that now? All the
well, that's
yeah.
that's exactly what I'm
Kind
thinking,
of current language?
because there's an awful lot of R1s that are VRBOs now,
Yep, what's
It's
a
insane.
tourist home?
a VRBO.
I think it's,
I
yeah,
mean, that needs its own whole,
old language.
Yeah.
Airbnb.
We really need to go over that
oh, no, I
item
know.
7, I think,
I think it should just be current language. Bed and breakfast is fine, they still
Yeah.
exist, but I don't know what a tourist home is. Should
Just
just
whack
be a
the word
verbo.
tourist home and do,
Virios and do some of it. I don't know. I think that encompasses a lot of more common language today, but.
I know Spiro bought a Satis when, there was, Frank Brongil was, leasing out a rental unit house, and Spiro got a hold of that he was doing it and started charging them the tourism tax.
Of course he did.
And so I don't know if the tourism would relate to that or not. But then Frank ended up selling the place.
maybe we put an asterisk there and we come back with what
Yeah.
other,
Just remember, you're in the resort zoning district at this point. We're not talking about in commercial.
yeah, I think it's, those things seem fine to me, the wording of what we want to use though. I think tourist home, we all know, VRBO is the name of a company, Airbnb is the name of a company, so we don't want to advertise for some company.
I mean, resort zoning inherently is smaller, correct? You really want a hotel and motel and resort
Well,
zoning?
what's left though?
I don't know. Well, I mean, is that where you just leave it at bed and breakfast and smaller, single-family rental properties versus
Vacation rental
hotel and
property?
motel?
Yeah, but we may have a new person coming into this community wanting to do a new planned resort area for,
I guess. I mean,
so we
We'll be asking
should have
RPD.
something in the paperwork for them to take a look at.
but those are,
And that solution is PUD.
yeah.
True.
So instead of tourist homes, it should be vacation rental?
Vacation rental?
Vacation rental homes?
I
We
don't know.
change it to that.
Take out hotel and motels. I don't
Yeah,
think
we
you can
take that
see
out. We need to just leave bed and breakfast and vacation rentals.
More single-family, you know,
Vacation
smaller
home rentals.
types.
I gotta remember, this goes back to
Yeah,
when
this
we
is-
still had small hotels, motels.
Again, I think it's the old school definition of resort zoning,
Yeah.
not what I think you're gonna see now.
So item 7, taking out that hotels and motels thing is, sounds to me like it's unanimous.
Okay.
And item 8 is good. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna stop here with this section D, because this needs a little looking over for sure. And then, everybody can go run, we'll do whatever they gotta do, and we'll get back to the, regular meeting at 7. So.
We're on page 55 of 158, so we'll be done here in no time.
Like October, November?
2021, still ahead.
No, I'll be done before that.
It'll go a lot faster.
Get a quote.
Yeah?
So just go,
I'm just on the line, oh my God.
Take one.
I would,
Take one, that's
take one and pass it down.
Big one, pass it down.
Does anyone need their iPads changed over for them?
Please.
Oh, cool.
You got there, didn't you?
Meeting where you want it? I'd like to call this Town of Cedar Lake Planning Commission, July 7, 2021, special work session, 6 p.m., special public meeting and work session, 7 p.m. We're doing a special public meeting and work session, 7 p.m. Would everyone please stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Rob.
Let us have a moment of silence for the police officer that was shot and killed in Charahoe, Indiana State Trooper.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Margaret, roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Here.
Mr. Foreman?
Present.
Mr. Sharp?
Here.
Ms. Detzauer? Present. Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Capuro?
Present.
Mr. Wilkemy?
Here.
Mr. Oliphant?
Here.
Attorney Austin?
Present.
Ms. Murr?
Present.
Margaret Abernathy, recording secretary, here.
Okay, first item will be a special public meeting, Lakeview Business Park, formerly known CLBD South LLC, rezone preliminary plat and site plan, rezone from ag to PUD. There's three parts to this. Petitioner, state his name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Greg Bauer here on behalf of CLBD South LLC, who is proposing to develop this business park as Lakeview Business Park, as you noted. First of all, appreciation to the town of Cedar Lake and the Planning Commission members. As we've attended a lot of meetings over the last few months, you have a busy agenda. Compliments to this town and your expansion. And thank you for working in this special meeting tonight. Thank you for your time on our petition. And also, it took some effort between the last meeting to get to this point. And we want to make sure that we thank Ms. Murr, Mr. Oliphant, who cleared up a lot of issues along the DVG and got the documents what we believe are in good shape. And certainly for Mr. Austin for his comments on all the agreements. Just to briefly summarize again, this is 33.531 acres. 28.78, I think, came in under the annexation, and we're including Lot 1 in the Bears Den in this rezone and in this plat. It's an 18-lot business park. Out Lot A is going to be our drainage facility on site, 3.85 acres. The lots range from 1 acre to 2.4 acres. And a lot of the effort that obviously went into the engineering to get to this point, but we also have tendered a development agreement to the town with a list of uses, a development plan, and a water line development agreement. And so with that, we're requesting a favorable recommendation from this Plan Commission on the rezoning application. And we're also requesting approval tonight on the preliminary plat and the site plan. The rezoning encompasses that development agreement and the development plan and folds it all in for final determination on the town council. So with that rezone and the development agreement, that goes on to the town council. As you know, the town council can make adjustments as necessary if it's not ready to proceed on any of those points. We certainly request approvals on all of it and let the town council weigh in on the various aspects. We're, of course, here tonight. Jack Halls is here to respond to any final engineering, and also representing CLBD South is David Baltimore.
Council, may I interrupt you, please?
Yeah.
Will you consider this a combined presentation, the zoning with the plat and the site plan?
I would appreciate it.
Purposes of our record and
Yeah.
and propriety.
I would appreciate that. I noted you have them separately on the agenda.
Right.
With voting and everything, and I appreciate you jumping in. I would certainly like to address all three. I know you have another big agenda tonight, so.
Makes sense.
Yes, that
Yeah,
makes
just want
sense.
to make sure our record's clear. It's an important project.
Yeah.
Sizable and sophisticated, so.
I think the engineering, everybody's pretty good with that at this point. Tom's good.
Yep.
Good. And I do know that, I just have a couple things. One is, do you have any drawings of what you're gonna do along 41? Any layouts for that, how that 41, how those businesses right on 41 will be
How they
laid
will
out
look?
and situated? No, how they're gonna be placed.
Well, there's 4 lots.
Okay.
We can take you through.
Well, you had mentioned well-known retail.
Yes.
I think were your words, without being any more specific. And I was just wondering how that was gonna be, laid out with the industrial park behind it. I'm trying to get a vision in my head. Let me just jump from that to, we've done screening with industrial applications like this. PGM, for example, recycling center, that was, all kind of came together at the same time. I'm not sure I'm particularly good with just 10 foot of conservation easement of old growth and brush. I'm assuming that these businesses want some kind of security. So we were talking earlier that we were going through some ordinance things. Would anybody have an issue with 8-foot privacy fence as a screening on these properties? Because we're going to have, we've got residential to the south, and we're likely going to have residential to the east.
Will it be, Rick, will this be a B3?
I believe it is B3 underlined.
Checking.
I believe it is B3 underlined.
Would that be B3?
Yeah, it has B3.
Business park?
The uses are.
B3 underlined.
It's all the uses of B3, correct?
Yeah.
Well, would it be, or is it? What?
Yeah, is it? In your view?
A business park, yes, I would
I would
do
say
that
B3,
as
right?
B3, yeah.
Yeah. And that was just, that was the only two things I kind of had a question about.
In between each, up against residential, it might make sense, I feel, but in between each of the owners, it may not be
No,
necessary.
just the perimeter.
Oh, I see.
Just a perimeter.
Just the perimeter, yeah.
Up against
The south
residential.
side and the east side.
And then in lieu of the conservation easement, or along with it?
I would say along with it, you shove it up against it and be done.
I would do in lieu of, because they're giving up a lot of property.
Well, you do that too.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, a real barrier of some kind. And if green was, if green was to your liking, we could discuss that also.
So Jerry, you're saying, so since we just got done talking about the new changes to ordinance from 6 foot of either, fencing or opaque,
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you're gonna want a fence of some kind for security in the back of those businesses. And if it was green behind that, I just, we've already done.
once you start excavating anyhow, that green
Yeah.
stuff dies.
Keep in mind, the lots
Yeah,
along,
You're gonna save trees, but it dies.
the lots along the southern boundary, specifically probably 13 through 16, there's gonna be a pretty substantial grade change there. Like I'm talking 10+ feet.
Okay,
So those are gonna sit quite a bit lower than that existing south line right now. The grades start tying in a little better as you go further north, like 10, 11, 12. But those properties are gonna sit quite a bit lower when they're finally developed.
well, because the 8 foot was fresh, is what we were discussing an hour ago.
Yeah,
Just
but we also discussed, that's at grade. So
Yeah.
if you've imagined grade at your line, if there's a 4-foot berm, you can do 4 foot on top of it. These are gonna be at least 10 feet below that existing grade.
He's got 10 feet
Oh,
already.
whatever,
It's gonna do this.
whatever's gonna
Level.
make the 6 foot or the 8 foot or whatever,
Plus, I'm saying your sight line along those is gonna be
Yeah.
very different.
yeah.
So, but what John's saying is, if you're on the south property,
You're gonna be
you're
high,
down.
you're gonna be.
Kind of like your backyard looking
Yeah.
into the U-Lock.
Yeah,
That's what it's gonna be.
yeah,
So, I guess just consider that.
okay. Well, I just thought I would mention it because we've already done these kind of screenings. And,
Yeah, they fall, but what we've already reviewed is what we've already
yeah,
been approving for everybody else. You're saying, can we change it from 6 feet to 8 feet?
I'm just suggesting.
There's no fencing in there, right?
There's nothing there now.
Right.
And I'm not
So
sure.
we're gonna do a 10-foot, leave the woods lay as they may, right?
Well,
I believe the current way the PUD document is written is that they are asking for the 10-foot conservation easement in lieu of any other further screening.
Correct.
Correct.
It's a little rougher than that, but yeah.
But yeah.
You're talking about the existing,
Yes, correct.
foliage and the like.
Yeah,
They're asking one in lieu of, so I think to make that clear, if you want to go a fence route, is that with it, instead of it? Yeah.
yeah, I'm tossing that around because of the grade you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, you can see the grade up there. I mean, you're
Yeah.
25 feet from the south boundary down to where the culvert crosses. So a substantial amount of grade comes from south and north.
So the properties that are, the backs of the properties that will be south and the backs that will be to the east, there'll be some kind of security fence there anyway, right? I mean,
That's up to the
I mean,
individual lot.
Yeah,
I'm kind of just, thinking out loud here.
well, there were some thoughts starting out on this plan. That wasn't necessarily our idea for the natural screening. It came from some input that we received. I'm not gonna, but we thought it was a good idea because I think it actually came from the town. And we thought it was a great idea because actually the business park has shifted significantly from an industrial park to a business park. If you look at the list of uses, they have really been pared down. It's going to be a pretty, if there's any industry in there, it's really light. So I thought, when we heard and we reacted and we thought it was great, we thought it would be a great look. And we didn't think too much beyond that because everyone wants to preserve trees nowadays. It's great, oxygen, all that great stuff. I certainly see your point. I heard you talking about this earlier. Yeah, I'm just wondering, because right now it doesn't butt up against anything in the town. So that was further thought for natural screening right now because nothing's in the town. And maybe when something comes, the time may be ready and we might take a look at this, because we can adjust anything also in this plan. We can start out, certainly one of our requests would be to make it the responsibility of an individual lot owner when the lot developed, rather than a fence for no one. Let's make the fence go in when the use goes in. We specify it all have to be the same type of fence, but maybe some latitude in this for when something comes in from the town, maybe at a future point in time.
So you're suggesting that perhaps the east property would get some kind of, because that's going to be residential, and you would leave the 10-foot on the south side?
Yeah.
I'm basing my assumptions on the owner of the east property.
Correct. It's one of those unique situations. They're going to come in and they're not in right now. So, but I see you're planning, you're doing your jobs.
We had this exact situation with EGM Recycling Center, except there was a subtle overlap of.
Yeah. So we certainly appreciate that. We try to be good neighbors. So I would think, that would be a consideration and make it an individual responsibility. We'd make it an individual responsibility of the lot owner to put it in when their use goes in. And it'd be a specified fence, just like we do in residential subdivisions. We'd say this fence has to go in. And we could also put that in to say that when residential is approved adjacent to your lot, you put it in.
I don't think that's a bad idea, and I'm not really concerned about the existing. I'm concerned about it to the east.
Yeah, understood. And
And I guess what I'm throwing out there is we were discussing the 6 foot, the 8 foot.
yeah.
Does anybody think that one of those is better than the other?
Well,
for the 6-foot property boundary, John?
looking at this, knowing that there's a woods there, and there's a lot of slow growth trees, I think that whole south, leaving it a 10-foot would work, and maybe half of the line going on the east side to the north, but then from there up to behind Action Plumbing, it's going to, that little bit of scarcity will die out. So then from there north
Well, that's what
should
he was
be
talking, that's what he was
shielded,
saying,
like he's
in
saying.
the language, he
Right.
could make it, so any residential adjacent to you,
Yeah.
put the fence in, and this is the kind
Yeah,
of
even
fence
though
it
it's
is.
county today.
Yeah.
That makes logical sense, to let them keep the rest.
Does anybody prefer the 6-foot or the 8-foot? For example, if he's good with this.
Well, we might as well go with the, what's the change in grade?
Do you go to, yeah, what's a grade then?
Starts leveling out probably somewhere around.
I'd say we go to
lot
8 feet, since we're talking about it, yeah. And it's not a big expense, they're gonna be excavating, they can make berm, so the arborvitae and or a fence, I mean, it's their choice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fence or arborvitae?
But if you're holding an 8-foot line of sight with
From
the
the,
elevation site, if
So
you're
you
holding
need
8 feet.
8 foot from existing grade. So if you do 4-foot berm and a 4-foot fence, however you accomplish the 8 foot, I think would be acceptable. That's what was discussed,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Combination.
and knowing it now with excavating, it makes it easier.
The dirt stays.
Yeah, because we talked thoroughly last night at another planning meeting, no one likes to move dirt twice.
That's for sure.
I have a question, I need something explained to me here.
Okay.
In land use, building setbacks, it says, in the first item there, from 30 feet minimum provided, lot 1, 2, 3, and 16 shall have a minimum setback of 75 feet. What is the 30 and 75 feet? What does that actually mean? The first bulletproof in, building setback?
Yes, all of the lots in the subdivision will have a 30-foot minimum, provided the lots that front 41 will have a 75-foot
Okay.
setback. Those are only the ones that front 41.
And Jerry, that kind of probably goes to what you were asking before about what it's gonna look like from 41. I don't know if that's probably the best way you can describe it at this point without having an individual site plans and uses. But right now, the center line to the edge of right-of-way is almost 100 feet, I think. It varies, I think it's on an angle. So you're gonna have 175 feet roughly from center line of 41 before you hit any kind of use, you know. It's gonna be a pretty good offset.
Okay, we'll be back for you.
Well, one of their waivers is sidewalks, and because that's a contentious subject for the last several months, that's why I wanted to know what the,
Yeah. I mean, there will be no,
kind of what the front was gonna be.
yeah,
If
it's
there's
gonna be offset
there's
for
gonna be an
you.
Arby's there, then maybe there's gonna be a frontage road. I don't know.
No frontage roads.
No, that wouldn't be allowed in your setback, so.
Okay. Does anybody have anything? Anybody have any questions? Dave, you got any questions?
No?
Okay. Nobody? Nobody? Oh, okay.
I just had a brief comment.
Hang on.
Just going
Uh,
over.
Yeah.
This is a public hearing. We have proper notifications for the public hearing.
Yep.
And you should conduct it again tonight.
Okay. Okay, have a seat, Dr. Bauer, and, real quick, and, I'll try to get through the monsters or the answers to questions. Come on up to the podium, state your name and address.
It's not really okay. 13650 Wicker Avenue, Elizabeth Yancey. I just met you last time, thank you. And did you ask about notifications? We did not get one. Anyway, my comment was that you probably don't realize the current residents that are over there now are deer, and they can jump over fences, and I'm kind of seeing that they could come across the street to my house all the time, but I'm kind of thinking that people that move into that industrial park are not going to be real thrilled with the deer jumping over the fence and coming through whatever park is there. So I was just going to suggest that maybe you lend an ear towards that problem that might happen now, make the fence high enough. I think they need an 8-foot fence, but, just trying to plan for the future.
I will tell you that a deer has no problem jumping over an 8-foot fence also.
Now, my friend that has deer, she has an 8-foot fence and they seem to stay inside. But
That's where
anyway,
the food is.
yeah. Yes, I know, they come to my house all the time. So I just want to be cognizant of the fact that,
No,
you know,
and I am very familiar with all that property over there, including where you live.
right, exactly,
So,
yeah, yeah.
I think we're pretty good,
Okay.
about the 8-foot, holding that, 8-foot line there.
Because I know that people are going to complain, they like to eat hostas, as you guys probably know. So. All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. President,
Yes.
so your record is clear. Canty's here now, she was here a month ago. Any notice issues are waived as a consequence. There are no notice issues.
Okay.
That's because we had a continuation of the public hearing,
No,
right?
sir, that's not why,
That's not why?
because she's here.
Because she's here,
Oh, okay.
so she's needing to have been.
That's for the
Okay.
I
law.
wasn't sure if you guys, if it was still on or not, so I just decided to show up.
Well, that was a good call.
All right, does anyone else have any questions, comments, or concerns about this Lakeview Business Park, 13735 and 13923 Wicker Avenue? Anyone? Okay. We'll close that portion for remonstrance. Mr. Bauer, you step back up.
Mr. President, again, I apologize for interrupting. For both public hearings now have been closed, both for the zone change and for the plat.
Okay. All right, when we do vote on this, we're gonna go through, we'll do it 3 times, but our discussion encompasses all of it. There is, you're asking for, how many waivers?
No real waiver.
Well, there's no waivers in a PUD.
And there was some discussion, we are adhering to the developmental standards, the B3 zoning.
But you can recognize, Mr. President, where the PUD varies from the typical standards, but the PUD process eliminates the need or need for waivers.
Mr. President,
Yes.
there's also a development agreement developed consistent with Title 11 of our code that addresses these items. Ultimately, when you're ready for a motion, if that occurs, I would have some recommended conditions to consider.
Okay, one of the,
Would those recommended agreements be on the first part of this, David? On the rezone side or all of it?
It'll be for everything.
Oh, it's,
Because the development plan encompasses the zoning,
is that
the
this sheet
plat.
of paper?
It is.
Okay.
okay, so item 9 on page 2 is the things that fall under the B3 like uses. There was a question.
I'm sorry.
I said the item 9 on that page 2 in this agreement, says other agreements, A, B, C, D, E, and F are all part of this.
Well, these are part of the development agreement under the code that
Okay.
is developed. This is not necessarily final, but council and I have worked through this after the legwork that had been done before that. And any approval recommendation tonight would be contingent upon completing this.
Right.
And that would be my recommendation. The attorneys have a bit of work to do.
Those would be your waivers, if you want to call them that, your differences from your typical portions of that zoning or
Yeah, 'cause
ordinances.
the zoning is way different.
This is what
So-
is negotiated.
Yeah.
So item F, Don, the modified language for that regarding the 10 feet.
That's
Holding
up.
the 10-foot line, if a motion's made to the like.
Yeah, that would be a contingency on approval if you want to modify that language.
So you're saying, Jerry, you'd like to see it, natural screening currently exists on, make it say on half of the eastern?
Wherever there's gonna be residential adjacent, like Mr. Bauer had said.
Or at least long-term planning for it to be residential use.
Yeah.
The 10-foot screen where residential.
Are you good with that?
Yes, on the eastern lots.
Yeah.
And I would change the lot numbers to specifically reference the lot numbers on the east. One point of clarification, when you looked at that overhead shot, there are thick woods on the southern portion of this land. Someone was pointing to there on the weak screening north of that we all see, if I had a pointer, that'd be great. Right there, yeah. Clarification, where do you want?
I would say, let's call that midway point of the eastern line, start there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that
I
make
just want
sense?
clarification.
Yeah, well, you had mentioned
Yeah.
any future residential
Yeah.
adjacent to your
Correct.
property, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think that's perfect.
Yeah, I just-
Instead of giving it length or dimension or halfway or whatever, whoever, if there's a residential backyard backing up, it needs to be,
Well, I mean, can they do an 8-foot berm? Like, do you just want, like, how strict are we getting on? Do you just
Either
want
or.
8 foot of screening?
Yes.
yeah, berms,
Screening,
fine, yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what this is.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
4 foot,
but then
4 foot,
we get
Or
into,
whatever, yeah.
if they put in arborvitae's, what exactly do you want to see?
8 feet.
8 feet.
8
From
foot
8 feet.
spacing, maturity?
Well,
Same
they
discussion we've had.
They gotta
and-
be, if they put arborvitae, they gotta be a wall. Just like, just
Make it-
fake screen.
Pictures, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
make it specific.
Fake
so we
screen,
don't have to
yeah.
design.
I'm just assuming that these businesses are going to have space in the back where they're storing things and are gonna want some security, so not having eyes on it,
I would
would dictate a fence.
I would just recommend that your motion be specific.
I certainly appreciate all those comments because, everyone, this is, lawyers could dice that up 20 different ways, so.
No.
But a combination of the berm, fence, and opaque landscape screening, is what I'm hearing, and I think we're acceptable with it.
Yeah, I just want it to be something that everybody can live with and, we can use in the future.
So we're not gonna dice it up either, because you're gonna draft it so that we can accept it.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 of you in the room, I think, so
I
that's
know,
good.
but if you got 20 lawyers in here, you'd have to one screen me, we'd be here all night.
This document, he's not gonna challenge it.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about any of this Lakeview Business Park property? 33.53 acres. We're going to have three motions here that have to be made, three votes. I think we have the screening narrowed down, south side and east side. Chuck, you have any questions?
No.
Okay. One more thing, this document that Mr. Austin handed out, does any of this need to be read in the record?
I would appreciate that record.
Developmental agreement, is that what you call it?
I'm sorry.
Developmental agreement, is that what?
Well, that'll be included here. This is the language that would be needed for the ordinance that's coming before the council to be able to certify it, and it encompasses everything that's this project.
Did you want to go through it today then, or should we?
Yes, any
Yeah.
motion made here with recommendation, much less approval of the primary plat, much less approval of the site plan, should be based upon objective criteria and findings.
Okay, for example, item number 1, exhibit. Are we doing exhibit A, exhibit 1? What are we actually
I did not label the
Okay.
exhibits,
Right.
because I thought council and I would end up doing that with the development agreement, the
Okay.
finalization that we're gonna make. And I wanted it to be clean, when it was ready to be adopted for recording process.
Can we just call this template,
Well, it kind of.
the template as discussed?
I'd recommend it be read into the record.
I'll,
And be made part of this record for motion making, for document drafting coming up, and what we will need going forward.
Okay.
Okay.
Under number 9, letter A, Mr. Rushing, there's a typo. After the words consultant at. So I think that's wrong, right? 9, letter A, town engineering consultant at,
Well, that could be read okay.
the acronym.
Yeah, DLZ is not needed.
Right.
Yeah, no, obviously I'm using forms and
Okay.
drafting on, but
all right,
I'll change that to CBEL.
Right.
I will read this and then solicit a motion for item A, and then item B, and item C. And for the record, I'd like this document to stand for all three.
I would also recommend our July 6th letter be kind of contingencies noted on that, be included at any motion for all three.
Okay?
Your letter is referenced in the body of this,
Okay.
and not the date.
Yeah.
Your written requirements are part of the approval process.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to read this as quick as I can. That hereafter, upon approval and adoption of the town council of the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, a zoning district classification of the subject parcel should be identified in Title 11, Lakeview Business Park Plan Unit Development Zoning District, subject to the conditions set forth hereafter, namely, compliance by the developer with the application herein, compliance by the developer with the public hearing and public meeting commitments made in the minutes, approval of the project parcel site plan, approval of subdivision plat applied for, and recordation of the same in the Office of the Recorder of Lake County, Indiana, approval of the planned unit developmental development agreement by each of the Plan Commission and Town Council, compliance with all staff review recommendations for the proposed project development, including engineering comments and requirements of the town's engineering consultants, Christopher B. Burke Engineering, compliance by developer with all town regulations and requirements, compliance by the developer with all federal, state, county, and local rules, regulations, and permitting, approval by the town Plan Commission of primary and secondary subdivision plat approvals, in compliance with all specific and additional identified conditions of subdivision approval for the subject parcel, namely Lakeview Business Park. Review, approval by town engineering consultants, Christopher Burke Engineering, regarding storm drainage requirements and all other platting and developmental regulations in the town, with the field report of compliance by the town engineering consultant, CBEL. Final checkoff on engineering review by the town engineer consultant, CBEL. Payment by developer of all costs and expenses to the town incurred in processing review through approval and is incurred through the entire project development. Approval attached of an attachment of said agreement and approved PUD development plan and agreed to the zone map amendatory ordinance herein, in compliance with all terms provided for therein. Last item, compliance by the developer with all conditions agreed upon in any public meeting of the Town Plan Commission with the developer as evidenced by the terms set forth in approved Plan Commission meeting minutes of determined date which approved meeting minutes are attached hereto as exhibit. Okay. You good with that?
That's fine. Additionally, I would recommend that you direct the completion of the development plan in final form for your next meeting. And I think that's it. Oh, I'm sorry. And you had a request specifically at the last meeting by council for commencement of earth movement permitting for that based upon this substance of approval or recommendation, in this case may be on these items, that you permit that to occur and direct the staff to proceed accordingly.
So grant permission for starting the project and let the attorneys work out the details of the fine print.
And bring them back in 2 weeks.
Right, okay.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions? Chuck, any questions?
No.
Heather, John?
No.
Everybody's good? Okay. Bob? Okay. You're good? Okay. Jill?
Good.
Good, okay. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the rezone from ag to PUD of Lakeview Business Park, CLBD South?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the rezone from ag to PUD. Favorable recommendation, rather, developmental, contingent on the developmental agreement as discussed earlier, as well as the items read into the record by our president, as well as grant permission for the Lakeview Business Park to commence earth movement, et cetera.
Okay, we have a motion by John. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Corbin?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kokora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkins?
Yes. Motion carries. Regarding item B, preliminary plat for an 18-lot subdivision. Would anyone like to make a motion for a favorable recommendation for that?
It's a approval.
Approval for this.
I'd make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for the 18-lot subdivision. Again, contingent on the prior items that we discussed,
Thank you.
As presented in the record.
as presented on the record.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Foreman. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Ladies first. Okay, second by Heather. You're special, trust me. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kokora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkins?
Yes. Motion carries. Regarding item C, the site plan, I think we worked out the screening. The motion references such.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Council, will you include that 8-foot item in the business plan? Not the development agreement, but the business plan?
Yeah, it was in the development plan. Here, this one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
There's a place for it.
Oh, yeah. There's, it talks about,
Just need to revise it.
yeah, screening under landscaping and fencing. We'll adjust that. Just, I hate to talk again, but I'm going to. Just to clarify, at one point, we were talking only the eastern boundary, because we were talking about what's coming there. We all know, okay. Are you talking about the southern boundary too? Because at one point, I thought I heard Mr. Foreman
No,
talk
I think the
about.
southern boundary was okay.
Fine, leave that alone. Just the eastern.
We were gonna leave that
The
alone.
one's 10 feet
I should have
already,
left
right?
it alone, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Well, I threw the whole thing out there.
All right.
See what happened. Okay, everybody's clear on the screening? Okay, item C, the site plan. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the site plan?
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Sharp to approve.
With the modifications to
With
the
two
development
include-
agreement?
To include this, which has been read to the record already.
Okay,
And with the content of Jerry's statement.
And Jerry, yes, yes.
Thank you.
okay, we have a motion to approve the site plan by Mr. Sharp. Do we have a second? Chuck, your turn.
I'll second it.
Okay. Second by Chuck Becker. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkins?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you again for your time and efforts on this. We appreciate everyone's.
I'm glad you two lawyers were able to get together, because this was slipping and sliding everywhere.
Yeah, your agenda is full, and that's what's happening with everyone else. So we certainly appreciate Mr. Rush's time to go away to get into these agreements and get them wrapped up. Thank you.
Okay, Furniture, thanks. Okay.
Yeah, it got cold.
Continuing with the special public meeting, item 2. This is the final plat for a one-lot subdivision, owner petition Richard Henn, P.O. Box 502, Cedar Lake, Indiana, Cindy's 13301 Lincoln Plaza. I think we have one little snag left with this, and
I delivered the final plat to Jill's office, signed and notarized.
okay, real quick, name and address for the record.
Richard Hand, 9303 West 133rd.
Okay. This is regarding the Lincoln Plaza building.
That's correct. And then Don asked for a private yard drain installed, and I installed that, and I think Tim went by today or yesterday and took a photo of it.
Okay. So, everything's good with this?
Yes.
Last
Tim
one.
confirmed its installation, yes.
Last piece is good?
Yes,
Okay. Okay, Rick, nothing else?
No, sir.
Okay. Don?
As long as those items have been addressed, I'm good.
You're good. Mr. Foreman?
Nope.
Mr. Sharp?
No, sounds
Heather?
good.
I'm good.
You're good? John, you good?
Good.
All right. Chuck Becker, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the petitioner's request for a final plat of 13301 Lincoln Plaza, Cedar Lake?
President, are there any remaining comments from Don? The letter was clear? Okay.
The letter had two things, but apparently they've been addressed. One was the payment and one was the citizen train.
Just want to make sure.
And both have been taken
Opinion
care
has to go right now.
Thank you.
Okay, would anyone like to make a motion regarding the final plat approval request?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Becker. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkins?
Yes, motion carries. Okay. Continuing the special meeting, we have a preliminary plat, one-lot subdivision and site plan. The owner is Rob Henn, Henn & Son Construction, P.O. Box 502. Petitioner Rob Henn, Henn & Son Construction, P.O. Box 502. Vicinity's 13324 Wicker Avenue, Cedar Lake. Preliminary plat of a one-lot subdivision with waivers and a site plan. This is the all-tire property. Petitioner is requesting preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision with waivers. Welcome back.
Robert's in the hospital, so a little neck surgery, he's okay.
Okay. All right. You and I know how sometimes that lasts.
It's the second trip, so hope it works.
Thanks. Okay, this is regarding the again, the all-tire building on Wicker Avenue. Commissioners requesting preliminary plat for one lot subdivision with waivers. I know, we had talked about, a little bit about the sidewalk. Everything else I think is good there. Rob had mentioned, car lot would be moving to the north piece of property. And, I know we have, screening was a waiver, right?
Didn't need it. Didn't need
Not
it.
required.
Didn't need it, okay.
Will be.
And then the, stormwater was waived because there's really not any blacktop.
Really, that's not a waiver per se, there's no net increase, the only really waiver is
Okay.
sidewalk.
Okay, right. Okay, and I guess, I know, John and I have discussed this.
Do we have to go through all the list of petitioners, et cetera? I think we do, don't we?
Public hearing.
It's public hearing.
Okay,
Oh.
okay, the legals are in order?
Legals are in order.
Legals are in order, okay. Petitioner have any comments at this moment? Okay. Town engineer's comments? I think you summed it up already.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Have a seat real quick and let me ask for any remonstrance. If anyone would like to remonstrate for or against the request of a one-lot subdivision at 13324 Wicker Avenue? Anyone? Okay, no one's coming up, so we'll close this portion. Building department comments?
No additional comments.
Everything's dialed in, okay. Commission's discussion. Heather, John?
Good.
Good. Good, pretty good, okay.
Okay, I have some.
Yeah, Chuck?
What about the field over the sidewalk?
Well, the sidewalk discussion, we had a little bit of it last visit, and I know we don't have a policy for fee in lieu of, but there is a document from Don valuing the sidewalk there in excess of, what was it, Don? Excess of $3,000?
$35 a linear foot, I think is what we have in our memo way back when. Yeah, $35 a foot.
Okay. And I discussed this a little bit, and Rob, Hen, and I, we don't disagree that it's kind of a sidewalk to nowhere. However, there is this is something taxpayers will pay for in the future if it's ever put in. So, what was your question, Chuck?
Well, no, I just want to be sure we're going to feel a little because we're making the school do it.
Yeah.
We've been making all these, houses that, right off 133rd do it. I just want to make sure we're consistent.
Yes. Yeah, I understand. Okay. Does anybody have any sidewalk discussion?
No.
No, okay. I know we don't have a policy for it. However, it is, it's been a pleasure that we follow that. Perhaps even a fee in lieu of or a,
I'll make a motion whenever you're ready.
okay. Were you you had mentioned, what was the other mechanism?
Well, a couple of options, I think, Mr. President. As you folks know, if the plat meets the conditions of your subdivision control ordinance, then approval of it is ministerial. So I'm not certain, and I would ask Dave to weigh in on this, but in this case, I'm not certain that you could require a fee in lieu of, in absence of an actual policy. But you could, I believe you could certainly request that the petitioner put up the cash equivalent in an escrow account, so at $35 a linear foot times whatever I think it's about an 85-foot wide lot, but whatever that comes to, you could request that, or absent that, you could deny the request and require the sidewalk to be put in. Your strongest position is to deny the waiver and require the sidewalk to be put in my opinion. But I believe you could ask the petitioner for a fee in lieu of, Dave, at that $35 a linear foot.
I agree with everything Rick just said in sequence. Right.
Yeah, and I think this, you know, Altire's wanting to put an addition on his property, he's in the back. My motion that I'd like to make, when I'm allowed, might be a bit different, but I think it's the motion I want to make, so.
Well,
That being said, I'd like to make a motion, Mr. President.
Is there anyone else that has any sidewalk discussions? Regarding the sidewalk? Okay, no discussions? Okay. I just, you know, the screening and things are not something that the taxpayers will have to pick up in the future.
I'm with you. It's an existing business.
And putting a sidewalk in to have the state tear it up does seem ignorant.
Yeah, exactly. So,
If someone would like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Hen preliminary plat one lot subdivision and site plan with the sidewalk waiver granted.
That wasn't different, that's exactly what I knew you were gonna say.
It's been a 2-3 month process after Mr.
John, did you include the one lot subdivision?
Preliminary plat, one lot subdivision and site plan is how I read
Item
it.
A.
Oh,
Yeah, just
Separate
that.
votes.
okay. Sounded like you said both of them.
Okay, do we have a second to Mr. Foreman's motion?
Second.
A second by, motion by John Foreman, second by Richard Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
No.
Mr. Becker?
No.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
No, motion carries. Regarding item B, petitioner is requesting a site plan for the same property, 13324 Wicker Avenue, Cedar Lake. Mr. Austin, everything's good there?
No public hearings required for a site plan.
All right, I'm assuming the petitioner has nothing further with that item either? Okay. Town engineer's comments, Don, you're good?
Good.
All right, building department, Jill? Good. Okay, commission's decision, let's see, discussion, anyone have anything else? No?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the, item B, on the, preliminary plat, one lot subdivision, 13324 Wicker Avenue?
I'd like to make a motion favorable recommendation for approval.
Okay, we have a motion by John for a favorable recommendation.
It is an approval.
It's an approval.
I'm sorry, approval?
For approval.
For approval. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Kapura. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
No.
Mr. Becker?
No.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
No, motion carries. Okay. At this time, I think we can adjourn the special public meeting at 7:55 p.m. and move on to the work session at hand. Okay. Call this Planning Commission work session portion to order, 7:55 p.m. Item number 1, Birchwood Farms, Phase 3, final plat, owner petitioner Hanover Development LLC, 8551 Wicker Avenue, St. John, Indiana. Vicinity is 12400 Wicker Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting final plat, 38 lots and 2 outlots. Petitioner here.
Mr. President, the
Yes.
petitioner requested a continuation until August on this item, so this will show up in your August work session.
Okay. All right, is everybody good with that continuation? I guess we don't have to.
Yes, sir.
Work session, okay. Item 2, Beacon Point East.
Work study?
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
August 4th, right?
August work study. Okay, item 2, Beacon Point East, Phase 2 final plat, owner petition of Beacon Point of Cedar Lake LLC, 8900 Wicker Avenue. Vicinity is 9000 West 141st, Cedar Lake, Indiana 46303. Petitioner is requesting a final plat for Phase 2 of Beacon Point East.
Good evening, Kevin Hunt on behalf of Schilling Development, representing Beacon Point of Cedar Lake. For a work session, we will be requesting final plat on Unit 2 of Beacon Point East.
Okay. Don, you have anything needs to be tied up here?
No, we're working through the letter of credit values, and final plat's pretty much in order. It's 23 units, I believe. It doesn't include the second entrance quite yet. I think that'll be in Unit 3.
Correct.
The east entrance.
East entrance, yeah.
All right, building department comments, anything?
No, exactly what Don reported. They're working through items. This will be at your public meeting in 2 weeks.
All right. Mr. Oshie, is there anything else here? No. All right, you have anything else?
I anticipate we'll address those issues and have a letter of credit prior to the next meeting.
Okay. Make sure you have enough time.
Oh, we're fine.
Okay. All right.
I've confirmed with the bank already. As soon as we get the numbers, we're ready to go.
Okay. Very good. All right, excellent. Okay, yeah, thanks. Stuff in me. Rose Garden Estates, Unit 3, final plat. Owner petition, Lennar Homes, 1141 West Main Street, Suite 108, East Dundee, Illinois. Vicinity is West 141st Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana 46303. Petitioner is requesting a final plat for Unit 3. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. President. For the record, and those that may not know me, my name is Todd Clement. I'm the land and entitlement manager for Lennar Homes. Our offices reside at 1141 East Main Street, Suite 108, East Dundee, Illinois. And I am a Lake County Crown Point resident, residing at 250 East 123rd Place. I'm in front of you this evening for item number 3, Rose Garden Estates, unit number 3. I'm sure you all remember when I was in front of you back in November for Phase 2 of Rose Garden. At that time, my colleague who is with me this evening, Mr. Tom McSherry, he's our land development manager, manages the day-to-day construction activities of the community. We both inherited the project from previous employees, and we stood in front of you and promised you that we would turn the temperature around that the town of Cedar Lake currently had with the project and Lennar. And working very closely with Don and Tim Kubiak, I don't want to speak for them, but through numerous conversations, I believe that we were successful with that. I hope that we were. At that time, we had a long punch list that I'm sure you will remember or recall, and that punch list has been satisfied, in our opinion, 100%. I spoke with Don this afternoon, and he was still waiting on some compression test results of the concrete curb. I have those with me this evening. Don, I apologize, I was not aware that you did not receive those.
I saw the emails when I was here.
And that is one ongoing issue out there in which Lennar is willing to cooperate with. I believe the test came back adequate, but there's still an aesthetic concern with the town, in which we are in cooperation, and we would have no problem shotcreting those curbs to bring them up to the visual aesthetics that they're looking for. I just want to give you a little background on our position out there. I am in front of you this evening on screen. We had
he's breaking up.
We had two other ongoing issues, mainly the water loop in which the town of Cedar Lake requested. We were successful in acquiring an easement to tie Rose Garden into Ledgestone, formerly known as Lynn's Way. That easement has been secured, purchased, and construction is in the process of looping that water main for several reasons, safety and pressure and capacity. I do have plats with me. Mr. Austin, I did print out some large ones for your office. If anybody else would like large ones, I'll pass them out as well. I do have 11 by 17. Thank you. And I'll just take a brief second to run through that. Thank you. calculations?
I'm good.
I'll take a line in.
This is our third and final phase of the community. The community as a whole consists of 315 units. The aggregate of single family of 121, cottage homes 85, duplex 74, and townhomes 72. This particular phase is 31 acres. It's the southern, and again, the final phase of the community, consisting of 13 paired villas, 13 lots, 26 units. There's 25 cottage homes, which we call our Inari product, and 45 single family. And overall density of 3.29 on the community itself.
How many units is that total then? Is it 26, 45, and 32?
On the third phase,
Yeah.
we have 26 individual paired villas on 13 lots,
Okay, yeah.
25 cottage homes,
Okay.
and 47 single family.
Gotcha.
The density
Push 100.
is overall on the 352, residing on 107 acres.
Okay.
Again, we're open to any questions, and the land development manager is here to talk about any technical questions that you might have. So, thank you.
I will, ask Don. It's his list, the same as your list.
It is in our court to look at the punch list stuff, so we're getting to it, put it that way. So they're not the holdup right now, it's just, yeah.
How many items are on the punch list?
I can't really answer that right now. I haven't finished the review.
There was like 100 ones.
Yeah, and they've responded to all that, so we just need to get through the review.
Okay. Is this, you plan on being back here in 2 weeks then?
Yeah. I mean, regarding the specific phase that they're in now, I mean, we're pretty much set on letter of credit values with Mackey, and then I think they have maybe 3 or 4 comments to kind of vet out the plan itself, but that'll be addressed in the not so distant
So
future.
you're good with this $2,034,000?
It's gonna be a little less than that. Maybe like I think 1.9 is what we're coming up at, roughly. Yeah, it's close.
Oh, I'm adding other things, Joe.
Yep, totally close.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Todd? For Mr. Austin?
I do not. No.
No department? No? Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions for the land manager?
Are you taking that beer out of the bag that's in the fridge?
Not as quiet as you, John.
That's right.
What's that?
You're making all kinds of noise, Chuck.
What's that?
I don't, hey, Chuck, sit still to make sure the bird's not chirping.
You guys are breaking up, I can barely hear you guys now.
Well, we can hear you. We got a 6'5" guy and a 5'6" podium, so.
No, I don't have any other questions.
Okay.
No, Jerry.
All right.
Chuck's good too.
Thanks, Heather.
Seems as though. Okay, John, you're sure 2 weeks is gonna work out? Okay, all right. He says 2 weeks. Jill's shaking her head, she's, so.
Jill's not rejecting it.
She's helping Don, positive though.
Oh, okay.
I can't barely hear you.
It's a push. Hey Chuck, you need to stop whatever you're doing.
I muted it.
Chuck,
Put
you there?
He muted him.
Okay, all right.
I'm here, I'll be sitting here.
You got it.
Oh, my God.
Is anybody else on?
74 People's Bank, that's it.
Okay. All right, regarding this item, I don't think anybody has
They're
any
in
questions.
ND, I have to unmute them.
I don't think,
No, yeah.
everything, I know the water to the south was a little challenging.
We got it done.
According to the pictures, somebody got creative with some pipe fittings, but,
They did.
Don said that, got worked out, so.
When do you anticipate that being connected?
We are taking steps. We have the dirt that we need down in the right of way to be able to bring it up to grade, to be able to install the pipe. Just that the rain that we've had the last week has been very tough, so, we got the equipment on site. As soon as we're able to get it in there and be able to get some action on it, we're gonna bring, the underground company right up through, hopefully 2 weeks, be able to start construction.
All right,
Good.
well,
Good.
yeah, make Don happy first.
Jerry, I have a question for
Yeah.
Todd.
Yeah.
Todd, so how much do you think this, spike strip costs?
You kind of bring this up to me. I know where you're going with this. I've worn many, many hats over the last 25 years, including the non-limited deal, leaving here a year older.
Todd, you came in here, your office is in Illinois, and you say you're a resident, so, you know, all one big family here, so.
How much did it cost us?
Yeah, approximately how much did this strip cost?
I don't know if I can.
Was it per fitting?
Yeah. You could buy a nice small car.
That's what I thought, okay, fast one.
10-foot
Not a fast one, not a fast one. Would have satisfied my daughter who's turning 15 in May, so yeah, I could have bought her a nice car, I guess.
I'm just saying, you know, it's, when
I gotta-
things happen like this, it's just kind of,
There is such thing as a full circle, isn't there?
there is a full circle. I'm done with, I won't have it anymore.
You might think that was my idea, though.
Perhaps,
Those ideal.
perhaps, Dave, there was a part.
And you had to know the players at the time, this was about 15 years ago, Bob.
Yeah.
We could just be transparent if we want, so we sit back and say. So, over the years, there's many, many times that recapture agreements would be overturned, or the municipality, the administration would change, and they would not enforce the recapture agreement. And after hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, that became a little irritating. So a spike strip was created around the community, and I worked for the entity that created that, and now here I am in front of you, paying for that easement to go across the street.
By the way, I think that person collected everything.
On that recapture? I don't know what's that called. Oh, yeah, on the water.
On the water,
Yeah.
on the water.
Yeah.
I think
And you-
everything was,
Due to a
everything
cooperative
due was
development.
paid.
And you use the phrase full circle.
Full circle, yeah. Interesting industry, no doubt about it, but all kidding aside, I mean, our main goal was to gain your trust, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen,
It's done.
yeah, I haven't seen any yellow flags being thrown up in the air lately over there, so sounds to me like,
I hope it continues.
things are well. Things are well. So, okay.
Thank you very much,
All right.
appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Make sure your name.
Recapture.
Recapture, yeah, recapture.
Okay, item 4 for the work session.
All the way down to 161st, or no.
Item 4, Harding preliminary plat, one lot subdivision, Bernadette Harding, 934 Jordan Circle, Sherrville, Indiana, 46375. The vicinity is 8025 West 126th Place, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat on a one lot subdivision. Petitioner's, okay, before I have petitioner's comments, name and address for the record, please.
This is that lot. Bernadette Harding, 934 Jordan Circle, Sherrville, Indiana, 46375. Thank you for considering my request. My request is so that I can sell that one piece of property.
Okay. All right, petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat in a one lot subdivision. This was a meets and bounds that need to be cleaned up. That's
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Don, do you have any comments?
We issued a letter on the 22nd, recommending kind of our standard waivers for one lot subs, which includes detention, widening of public frontages, park dedication, tree placement, sidewalk requirements. The other caveat of this lot is that the western part of it is kind of a waterway right now. So we're kind of working with her surveyor to kind of pin down an easement that's required for that. That'd be the only kind of uniqueness to this lot.
So stormwater easement
Yep.
included,
Yeah, the
Line
west
one.
side of it, and then all the other comments in the letter are ministerial. I know Glenn's already resubmitted their surveyor. We just haven't had time to look at it. He submitted on Friday, right for the holiday. So,
Jill, do you have anything else?
No, I do not.
Okay. Okay.
Perhaps consideration at your next meeting, if Don is good with everything on preliminary and final for a one-lot sub like this in a residential area, might be a consideration we can add to your agenda. When we have the public hearing in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm thinking, to add those waivers to the agenda under this item somewhere. Because we have one extra, it was easement for stormwater, Don?
that won't be a waiver. That's going to be a requirement. No, we just kind of have to work out the extent of it based on the current topography to just keep it what it is.
Okay. All right, any details on there?
We will add those.
Okay. Is there anything else, Heather? Dave, good? Good. Kapoor, you're good? Good. Everybody's good? Yep. Chuck Becker, you good?
Good.
All right. Don, it's likely this will be ready, easy, 2 weeks?
It should be.
Okay. All right, we have nothing else. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, item 5 for the work session, Cedar Lake Storage LLC, preliminary plat, one lot subdivision and site plan, owner Cedar Lake Storage LLC, 9019 West 133rd Avenue. Petitioner Tim Porter, Cedar Lake Storage LLC, 9019 West 133rd Avenue. Vicinity 9011 to 9019 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake 46303. Preliminary plat for one lot subdivision and site plan is the request.
Ms. Hardig used to work for us in our sewer department many, many years ago.
I was here when sewers were first installed.
You got any stories about Bob?
Another story also, I worked in the sewer department and got all the way to scratch.
Do you have a son named Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, I work with him.
He was smart.
I'm a robot guy like he is.
I also
Old crap and new
know,
crap.
Dave, Mr. Dave Austin,
Yeah.
and, I remember Mr. Wilkie, and, a few other people. Of course, I'm old and shaky, but, well, I want to tell you about Bob here. Stand up.
Hang on a minute, this is a
Bob
roast.
had shrunk.
So that was my brother you're thinking of, Lynn, that was a police officer.
That's right.
He's 6'8".
Bob's a sheriff.
Excuse me for brain
Bob,
lag.
Okay. When you said the police uniform, I knew you were thinking of my brother Lynn.
Okay, that's right, what was, and when he, started on the police force, the girls in the office went out and found a uniform. And, of course, he was tall and thin, and we got the biggest jacket and the biggest pair of pants and the biggest hat. And we called him, and he had to come over to the town hall. So he came over and we presented him with his uniform. And I do have a picture of that somewhere. And he was, I think he was embarrassed a little bit, but he laughed himself, so it
Lynn was a real laid-back kind of guy. He wasn't all wound tight like Bob is.
He was very nice, but I know what. But I remember Bob being on the council and everything.
He never left. He's still
No, he's still
every night.
He'll probably be here when I go on. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Yep. Take care. Okay. Okay. That was a good intermission.
He wouldn't let me eat.
With my,
Yeah.
How do you feel, Bob? Okay, back to item 5 in for the work session, Cedar Lake Storage. preliminary plat, one lot subdivision and site plan. Petitioner's requesting a preliminary plat for one lot subdivision and also petitioner's requesting a site plan. This is the work session, but name and address for the record, please.
Tim Porter, 9019 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana.
Okay. Any comments regarding the preliminary plat for one lot subdivision? How's that coming along?
First, I'll give my name, Ryan Maravich, DBG team, 1155 Trout Line Road, Crown Point, Indiana. I received, I think it was late last week, second round comments. The engineering has, for the most part, been addressed. There's about 3 outstanding items that relate to the drainage agreement with the adjacent property owner, and then some of the lighting plan. We're working on that, and then the plat. The surveyor is almost has that completed. There's one more item. He's actually adding there's an easement along the south edge for a town-owned storm sewer. So that is close to being completed.
Okay. All right, Don, how's their list coming along?
Like Ryan said, we issued that letter on the 1st. I think they resubmitted yesterday, I think.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet?
I've got most of the engineering. I'm waiting on a few of those items, like
Okay.
the lighting plan, and then I'm going to submit that all at once to make
Okay.
it easier.
Yeah, I mean, so long as you get that stuff, I think one of the major considerations is keeping the lot gravel. They're asking for that waiver. Technically, it's a zoning ordinance waiver.
Well, and I was gonna bring that up. The rest of these things are easy.
For the most part.
It was discussed, at the podium. It would be blacktop. One time somebody mentioned that, and, it seems as though the plans have changed. I don't know if we have any storage facilities around here like that have gravel lots. Anybody, have any thoughts on, that waiver? Well, how many waivers are there now?
They requested a sidewalk waiver. We were not in favor of that, because this is actually through a corridor
Yeah.
that will eventually have long-term planning-wise sidewalk around the lake.
Yeah.
And that was one I addressed that I have added that.
Okay.
One of the questions I had, that's such a big driveway
Mm-hmm.
that there's not much sidewalk on either side. Is that, I have it meeting at the edge of pavement.
It depends. Is it current concrete now through there, or is it asphalt?
It's asphalt.
It's got to switch to concrete.
So the sidewalk.
And the sidewalk through the driveway has to be commercial depth.
Okay.
So you're 8 and 6 through there.
Okay. Because the concern I had with there's the 2 fronted, I don't know, or access roads. Like
Yeah.
And it's a wide, you'd have a wide.
It'll be behind the access road is the future plan.
Okay.
Because we're gonna likely have to go over the railroad in the future versus under, because we don't have the width through there. It's likely gonna be coming down that access road in the future.
Okay.
But it's pretty preliminary.
What's the access road right now?
We do.
Gotcha.
Okay, so it seems to me like the only, big item is this, asphalt.
Well, that's debatable, but the BZA.
That's a BZA matter, that is not a waiver. If it's a requirement of the zoning ordinance, they'd have to go back before the Board of Zoning Appeals, which they've been in front of last year. But that's not a waiver, that's a variance.
And then that variance goes with town council?
No,
that's developmental.
that's development standards.
So they can go there and get a waiver on
Variance,
not
not a waiver.
paving the parking lot?
I believe that's in the zoning ordinance.
If that's a requirement of the zoning
It's
ordinance.
definitely in zoning ordinance. I don't think it's very clear in the subdivision
It's a
ordinance.
variance.
Yeah.
Variance required.
Right.
You just said not blacktopping the lot was the big,
Well, they requested a waiver from it. I think this is the wrong forum for it. The only reason I bring it up.
okay,
Subdivision ordinance isn't very clear on it, but the zoning ordinance is.
okay. And I guess other than blacktopping, regarding this item, please go back in the minutes and find where Mr. Porter, I think senior, had said that we'll blacktop it. Why we have a discussion. Does anybody have anything else regarding these items.
Commissioner.
Oh, yeah.
We got a few additional comments, if you could
Oh, yeah,
consider.
come on in.
Father Bob Porter / partner.
Bob Porter, 5705 West 45th Street, Gary, Indiana. Yeah, I can remember when we first started doing all this stuff, but then I have said that, yeah, I would love to do it. No weed control, none of this stuff. I like the looks of it, it looks better.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, you know, we're starting out with the boat storage, it's inside and outside storage. We're starting with the boat storage, and we got the RVs, you know. But then, pretty soon down the road, hopefully in a year or two, maybe we can put up another building, you know, for some inside storage, okay? And then it'd be nice, you know, like right now, yeah, I like the blacktop, almost to the back of like that office building, okay? And then on the right side, there's like the enclosed building, and then that's concrete all in front of that.
Yeah.
Okay? So then pretty much from the street, yeah, you pretty much see all blacktop, okay? Because nothing's gonna be done there, you know, the gate, you know. But then later on, as, you know, say in 2 or 3 years, hopefully, maybe we can put a building in the middle there, okay? And then blacktop to the back of that one. And then keep moving like the boats and the stuff like that to the back. You know, and it depends. We don't know if it's gonna be more boats or if it's gonna be more.
And I don't think,
But I like the idea, but.
I don't think you are anticipating the tidal wave.
A tidal wave.
Tidal wave of occupancy.
I hope so, I really do.
Because it's,
I really do, I hope it is.
it's a big deal. But we don't have any storage units around like this. I mean, it's more of an industrial park like the recycling center. It's gonna be gravel, partially concrete.
Well, we have North Point, which is, you know, just behind us. They store boats, they have a place, you know, but theirs is just all gravel. Okay, and then you got Pinecrest, which is on the south side. They store boats and trailers and all that kind of stuff. That's all gravel. And then on the southeast side, another little storage area there.
But you're creating a storage facility. And
Exactly.
we do storage facilities around town.
Like Econo, right.
Econo storage, it's
It's
done. It's just done that way.
Exactly.
And it keeps the dust down. It's better for everybody.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that's what we would like to do.
Yeah.
But it'd be kind of nice, you know, blacktop's probably about $400,000. And if we do, say we do the whole thing, and now we put up another building, okay, and this building 7,000 square feet, okay? Now, all that stuff we just did, now, how much money spent? $7,000, that's $35,000 that is wasted.
Well, and I understand exactly what you're telling me, and if we were to consider a timeline on a calendar, when it would be done.
That'd be hard to do, though.
Well, we've done approvals, and things were to be done in the future.
Okay.
And it's 6, 7 years later, and we're still looking at them, because the future has no date. I didn't say that. That boomerang has hit us more than once.
Yeah, we had talked about that before, too,
So-
because you had said something like that, too, about people would, yeah, I'm gonna do this one lot subdivision, and they didn't do it, but.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. So he's requesting, and maybe this is for the building department, so he's requesting a one-lot subdivision. Wouldn't it have been better to have this be requested as a PUD? So he could have these waivers?
Is it large, are you 10 acres? You're not 10 acres?
No.
Oh, that's true.
Needed to be 10 acres for that.
Okay.
Isn't it 2.25?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the trailer court, we made that a PUD because it's greater than 10 acres, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, there's that limitation. We're planning to remove that when we revise the zoning ordinance, but right now, you have to be at least 10 acres to qualify for a PUD.
What kind of time limit, like, were you thinking?
I don't throw numbers out,
I know, it's
because
hard.
now I'm planning your stuff.
Right,
You're supposed to come here with that stuff.
Exactly, but like I
And
said.
if by chance there's an agreement of a timeline and it's not met, we have to use the taxpayers' money to legally go after you and make sure stuff's gone, you're in compliance. It's a huge expense on our end to do this.
Mhm.
I understand what you want to do, and I think, one of your sons had
Yeah.
mentioned indoor only for a while. But a while and the future are the same kind of word.
Exactly.
So I don't know, I mean, this business plan has gone full circle at least a couple times, with that other gentleman who came here that night.
Yeah, that was a friend of ours.
Yeah, that was a good time.
No, it wasn't.
So, anyway, does anybody else have any questions about, any of
Well,
this?
if you don't blacktop the whole thing, what are you gonna do on the gravel areas now?
What are we gonna do on the gravel?
Yeah, you
areas?
gonna store something on them,
That'd
or
be for the outside storage for the boats and the RVs, yeah,
on the gravel,
on the gravel, yes.
blacktop?
Okay. Building department,
But again, that's not up to us.
No.
That's
Yeah, but he's
BZA.
on the BZA, so it
Well,
would
I'm
be.
just
no,
saying.
I'm not mixing that
No,
with
I'm
this.
not-
We are the plan
I'm not-
commission. We are not talking about gravel or no gravel here.
I mean, this commission can still evaluate the application, it's just gonna be contingent on EPA variance if they wanna stick with the gravel.
You can also impose reasonable conditions.
At the BZA.
You're here too, on any petition before you.
We just don't have anything like that around here, it's newish.
Yeah, but again,
If it was
this
indoors,
is old,
I understand.
ugly buildings that somebody's trying to buy, clean up, make nice, find a use. Granted, someday, that whole thing could change, but these are the kinds of things, kind of like the 41 things, when we have, I don't want to see derelict buildings, so if we were to pave far enough in and there were some restrictions written that he got to keep gravel, it probably is 400,000 to pave all that, and even if it's 300, 250. It's
We've looked
an
into
old
it, it's
derelict
about,
building that is now.
between 375
Yeah,
and 4, depending on what they have to do. You know, when our engineering is done and everything's sloped the way it's supposed to be, you know,
Yeah.
because, you know, we need to get rid of that water in the middle, you know.
Well, see, all that sheet flow design was after the blacktop discussions.
We had that blacktop discussion, but there was never an agreement to that. I know that you were really
Yeah.
adamant about the blacktop, you know? And like I said, we would love to do it too. I like the way it kind of looks. I like the way it all looks, you know? But we need to have, like you say, some sort of a timeline. Let me work on that a little bit and, you know, put some numbers in our heads. We've never had a storage unit before, okay? And you see all the other ones are mostly inside storage. There's not a lot of outside storage places right now, right? Which would be good for here, like you said, with the boats and the RVs and stuff like that, you know? But I don't think, the way I can run the numbers through my head, that just storing boats and RVs not gonna, you know, kind of like money, want to make some money at this too, you know, we're not doing it for our health, you know? So, but if you could work with us a little bit to, you know, work our way back, you know, blacktop, and then a couple of years, maybe blacktop it again.
Does blacktopping that with the same topography as Ryan has drawn up for sheet flowing now? Does that change that at all?
No, I mean, you just certainly could do some dig out, make it, you know.
When it, like, when you have water running off a blacktop, or you have water running off of a gravel lot, you know, you're gonna get some water that's gonna go into the ground too, which, wouldn't that help at all?
Kind of consider them pretty close to the same, especially over time, the compaction and whatnot. You're not gonna get a whole lot of difference in runoff. I mean, the benefit of asphalt is you're not
gonna get your gullies and all that kind of stuff, no. We've got the
Cheap flowing
equipment to
gravel
take care of
stuff.
that, you know, and we've got the sprayers for the weeds and stuff like that, you know. And we
Brian-
don't wanna mess
Brian,
with it,
is
see
the-
what we're doing.
Yeah, is the pond that you're gonna sheet flow all that into, that's all taken into consideration, the sediment?
Yes.
Is that close to the lake?
Either, whether it's gravel, asphalt, it all meets because as Don said, it's essentially impervious.
Yeah, runoff coefficients of 0.82 and 0.85. Okay, so they're about.
So, John, What do you think is the timeline for blacktopping all of it?
You know, I think that whole entire area will get bought and reconstructed into something else in the next 20 years. That's what I think. So, and I think trailer court will go the same direction, but that's my thought. So as far as the timeline to pave it, quite honestly, if the gentleman really is just gonna use it for boat storage and trailer storage, and since it's already impervious and finding its water into that, again, it's an old building, I personally have a belief that make it look cosmetically nice from the front. You may recall, I didn't want a storage unit in the middle of town initially, and I was against it day one. So now that it's been approved, these folks bought it, I hate to tie people's hands behind their back. I mean, I think we gotta give and take. Like I've often said with the Frankies and the Hen and the All-Tire and what have you, because we can't continue to look at these old buildings if folks aren't buying them to clean them up, fix them up. And in this case, if he had a bunch of toys and he kept it for himself, he wouldn't have to do anything, right? He would just say, hey, this is my personal storage spot for my toys. But
Why
we're
don't
trying to
we
make
let
a
him
business.
bring a plan to us, like you said, he even said it himself. Let him think about it, and he'll bring back a
Yeah.
plan.
Well, I'm interested in what John's.
Yeah, I'm just
John's
trying
doing.
to not have ugly buildings sit around.
No, and you and I agree with that. However.
I agree with that too.
However,
Yeah.
these guys have been hitting it, and, when they really start making money, I was curious.
Yeah.
'Cause you have,
My 2 cents is
you have
that.
these ideas of grandeur sometimes, and,
Yeah.
I'm curious at what you consider the future.
It's just like the lot on the south side of town where there's a little business that it never got squared away apparently. I felt as though our old town manager at the time pushed that, and maybe it wasn't written into the rules, but it was unthinkable that he would have had the ability to do that to today's standards. And
What are you talking about?
the parking lot across the street from the Tasty Top, about 8 years ago when the folks bought the Tasty Top, they fixed it up, cleaned it up. Next thing you know, they just cut all the trees, put some gravel and started parking there, but they didn't really have permission.
I'm aware, yeah.
And Ian Nicolini at the time, I think, went crazy about it, and rightfully so. Somebody just made a parking lot, didn't follow any rules of the road, right? So that is different than this, is where I'm going with that.
The prior owner of the Tasty Top building used that as part of his agreement to get parking and space and approval, because they wanted to do the drive-through
Yeah,
also.
I don't recall.
That wasn't a question. And it was gonna be done in the future.
Right,
And-
the word future is
And
danger.
yeah, and
I
now we
like
have,
what you
and now we
said.
have, and now we have a parking lot owned by somebody, and a business owned by somebody else.
Yeah, it's a mess.
And, you know, we, you know,
It's a mess.
not good.
I agree. But him making this a one-lot subdivision, he now owns everything. It's not.
I understand that. I understand.
We're here to make, we're here for the town. You know, we want the town to look good too. If the town looks good and the town's prosper, we're gonna prosper too.
I'm very happy that somebody bought that and they're doing something with it.
We're doing our best.
Like that blacktop was discussed a
It
long
was
time ago.
discussed.
It was discussed a long time ago, and then all of a sudden, we're sheet flowing, gravel, the last plan I saw from Ryan.
I cannot recollect saying, yeah, we're gonna blacktop this thing. I wouldn't have said that because there's too much money involved in it. How are we supposed to, you know, there's a lot of money spent here.
Yeah, well,
You
perhaps.
But like I said, we're gonna do our best to have that. We would love to do it. You know, it's easy to push the snow, you know. You got things looking neat.
You were telling me nothing I don't already know 1,000 times.
I'm just telling you, that's what we wanna do. I mean, we're not just trying to blow smoke your body.
Yeah.
This is what we're trying to do too, but you need a little time to do that.
It's not even our body to make the call. It's the BZA. But we could, like David said, put restrictions at this body.
Well, let's wait 2 weeks until he comes back with a plan, how about that?
I agree,
Okay.
So, can I ask I guess, procedural question? So it's a variance, it's a BZA action. Say they, tomorrow we file for a variance to forego the asphalt. It's to the BZA the BZA be after the plan? It would probably be after the, so there was a contingency on the site plan. If that action, the BZA action was denied, you said, no gravel. And they came back and said, okay, well, we have to do asphalt. Would that wouldn't affect the site plan per se, other than now they have to do asphalt? Is that?
Depends on the motion, I think, from this body.
Yeah, if you're gonna appear before the BZA after, and it would be, if you're ready in 2 weeks, I don't know if this is ready in 2 weeks, but if this body is gonna make an approval, it would have to be contingent upon the BZA approving the variance for the asphalt, to leave it gravel as opposed to asphalt, and if it were BZA denied it, then your approval here would be null and void, I would think, Dave, because it's contingent upon BZA.
And then you make, any action here would be recommended to be made contingent.
Exactly.
And if that contingency doesn't occur, then the approval is,
So it could,
the action is.
and that could be an approval, allowing gravel if the BZA says so, and allowing, and making it be asphalt, you know, if the BZA denies them.
You actually could approve the one lot subdivision without the BZA action, but you're not going to approve a development there, you're not going to approve a site plan there without the BZA, action to grant the variance.
And you can't get into the BZA until August.
Right.
Because the next BZA is, tomorrow night.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's my question is, can there be a contingency that's like either or, where if the BZA is denied the gravel, then we say, okay, well, we have to do asphalt, so the site plan, rather than cancel it and then start over again.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Dave. You understand that if the BZA denies it, then the site plan is approved, knowing that they have to do an asphalt parking lot.
That's true.
Yeah, that's an option, right? Yeah.
So now we're talking doing asphalt, the whole thing right off the bat?
The whole thing, if you don't get the variance, sir. Yeah, but you're gonna have to go to you have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals, similar to like you did before when you got your other actions. You're gonna have to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals and request a variance from that section of the zoning ordinance that requires your development to have an asphalt surface.
Okay. So now, does that also now put us behind now to be able to open up for this fall maybe? Is that gonna put us back another month?
No, because you can't, if you get your primary or preliminary plat approval in 2 weeks, you've got to wait 30 days anyway before you get your secondary
Which
plat.
would bring us into
And that would be
August.
after your appearance at the August BZA meeting, so no.
Okay.
No. Yeah, you can't start building in any case until after you have a recorded plat.
Right.
So that, yeah.
I would, based on what Heather said, I would encourage you to get to Jill a plan in your head,
Gotcha.
proposed deadlines for things.
Okay.
Not suggesting yay or nay, but it would be good to have some of that stuff ahead of time. Okay. All right, everybody good?
Good.
Chuck, you still alive?
Yep.
Okay, plan. Owner petition People's Bank, 10205 133rd Avenue, vicinity is 10205 133rd Avenue, Steve Lake. Petitioner requesting a site plan. Is anyone here from People's Bank?
There's somebody on,
Yes, I'm on Zoom right now. Robin Whitty at Larson Danielson Construction.
All right.
All right, this People's Bank was gonna be on the corner next to O'Reilly's.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Don, you have a awful lot of comments here.
Yeah, that's the first review. They're the ones resubmitted yesterday.
Okay.
We just haven't looked at it yet.
All right. Would petitioner have any comments about anything at this time?
Per the comments from the last work session, we shifted the building and the parking lot over to allow for the sidewalk easement at the east side of the property. So the civil drawings were changed to show that.
Okay. All right, Don has 3 pages of information here. Don, are you anticipating this being brought to us in 2 weeks?
I don't know. Let me get into the resubmittal and I'll let you know. I think one of the sidewalk is supposed to be, I think, installed as part of the Summer Winds Unit 1 development is
Can we back to
the
that
way,
again?
huh?
Can we back to that again?
What?
Or sidewalks?
Part of their site plan.
It's included in their performance letter of credit, so I think that sidewalk is going to go in this year at some point, because I believe those 3 letter of credits are going to be rolled over all together, and we'll get into this in update items. So that sidewalk should be going in, I would imagine, around the same time as this project's construction as well. So, I mean, that's the biggest caveat. They had to do some shifting for their land plan because their parking area was inside that sidewalk easement. So, I mean, everything else, I know it's a, 3-page letter. They're not, I don't think any of the comments are large by any respect, so, there's probably a good chance that we can get through all this.
Okay, I guess I ask again. Sure you're gonna have enough time?
I hope so.
Okay.
And if not, it doesn't make the meeting, right?
That's my belief. That's my belief. So the drive-through for, well, let's see, this is gonna come in, you're gonna enter this from the south side of the property?
There will be we recommended a right-in, right-out off 133rd just due to the proximity to the intersection. And then there will be a full access drive entrance off of King towards the southeast corner of the lot.
So we go right in off of 133rd, like
Right in, right out.
Vermont State Bank.
Yes, I believe
Right,
so.
right off.
Is there a decel lane then?
No, I mean, we already have a full throughway, well, two-lane section through that intersection already.
But it's at an intersection, so shouldn't we have a turn lane?
Well, it's already a right turn lane there.
Oh, into the subdivision?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
I'm bringing up
Double
the
check that.
Yeah, you can see it right now in the June.
Yeah.
There's already a right turn lane throughout that entire corridor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, they put it in.
So yeah, it's already there.
So one entrance will be in the southeast corner.
Yes, that'll be a full access, entrance, and then, like I said, right in, right out, 133rd.
Right in and right out.
Yep.
How about right in, no out? That's kind of silly, isn't it?
Sort of.
Yeah, just make a right in, and if you're in that parking lot, you gotta get out on that little road.
Yeah, and I don't remember.
Why wouldn't we just come right in off of King Street?
Right, only, and not off 133rd?
Yeah.
You need 2 entrances.
Yeah, but you'd have one-
It's a commercial building off a much larger street.
But you still could have another opening at the southeast corner of the property.
Well, yeah, that's their one entrance, but it's a commercial property off a commercial corridor. It should have entrance, even though restricted off 133rd. And I don't remember if our intersection plans, if we make that right turn lane a through lane, or how we're striping that, but I need to check that.
And that's what I'm getting at. Are we making a bigger mess with an intersection someday by coming off 133rd that close to the intersection?
I think going off, maybe not, going back out, yes.
Hey, he said right in and right out off of King Street.
No, he didn't.
No.
Right out on
133rd. No, King Street's full access.
I'm not feeling warm and fuzzy about that.
Yeah, no,
And I always hate to say John and I are starting to think the same, but.
Yep, we are, Jerry.
As far as the right in only,
It is scary.
It's real
Right
scary.
in only,
off 133rd.
and if you wanna come from the east,
You
turning into
come
the
off King.
intersection, you wanna go out and turn to the west, you gotta go to the intersection.
We can do that. I mean, I agree that it's a little odd through there. Well, I mean, they wouldn't be the first car that went through the intersection right now as it sits with an unsignalized intersection. that just goes through to say turn into Subway or Demont State Bank, they just go
Well,
through it.
well, the
It
people.
depends on when you merge, and it's a gray area.
Well, the bank becomes, the potential bank becomes a cut-through for people who live back there, so they don't have to sit for the light. Just one thing that I know is going to happen.
That would be a pretty weird thing to do, but I guess you could do that. I mean, I hope they don't do that. The trip won't be that long.
Is the engineer okay with just a ride in, no ride out, onto 133rd?
I doubt our client would be happy with that. Because we have a partial one-way parking lot, it really restricts flow around the building. It makes it odd. It would make someone go 360 around the building to exit again if there was no right out onto 133rd.
That would force them to go
I can-
near your drive-through too, I think.
What we're creating.
Right, all the way around.
Yeah.
What we're creating is just another tech property is all we're creating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're gonna have that much traffic coming out of this bank a whole lot. I mean, many people may not even use that right now. They may likely use the King Street, because I think once they get through the ATM and through the drive-through, they're gonna be right at the King Street exit. So you might not have a lot of.
I think the only people that would really want to use that 133rd exit are the people that are walking into the bank, not the people using the drive-through or ATM.
And no one actually goes to the bank anymore.
Oh, no, we're losing change.
It's very minimal.
Okay. All right, does anyone have any other questions about this item right now?
No.
Anyone?
No.
Mr. Becker?
No.
Okay. I guess, if the petitioner has nothing further, I'll close this for now.
Sure.
Keep us posted, Don.
We'll do our best with Robin and her team to push
Weeks.
this along.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Okay, item 7, Cedar Lake Conference Association, Cedar Lake Ministries, PUD Amendment Preliminary Plat, Cedar Lake Conference Association, Cedar Lake Ministries, 13701 Lowerman, PO Box 665, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. The vicinity is 8661 West 141st Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a PUD amendment and preliminary plat. Before I ask for the petitioner's name and address for the record, just to let everybody know, there was a powwow at 5 o'clock with the petitioner and Mr. Hall's his representative, and we're trying to get this thing moving, getting the details nailed down, getting everything that's a problem, getting the language right. We had to give this thing a little stick of dynamite and get going again. There's a lot of round and around and around. So anyhow, name and address for the record, please.
Nathan Peterson, 31231 Island Drive, Evergreen, Colorado.
Okay. Don, any other comments?
Not really. I mean, we issued our letter on the 2nd. We've had further discussions, just Nate and myself, and then the town staff and myself, and I don't think any of the existing stuff is an issue. Nate, did you want to get into your potential schedule on approvals that we talked about?
Yeah, we talked actually a little bit after you guys had to run in here or whatever, and so, in talking to Dave, we were originally thinking that we were gonna do the preliminary plat in July and the PUD in August. We're just gonna do it all in August. And so, general sense is that, Don issued a second letter, kind of working through those update items. Jack and Don are working on, there's some plat updates that they're just working through, as well. We've gotten comments from Dave yesterday on the new version that I think got published to you guys around the 20th or so of last month. Our attorney is out of the country for like 2 weeks, so we're waiting until he gets back to kind of wrap up the legal comments, which is kind of why this pushes to August automatically, because that's not going to happen until he gets back. And, really, there's not a lot left. I realize we're gonna push to August more because of the legal, attorney availability part of it, but, we've worked through just a lot of stuff, over the course of the last 2 weeks, especially at a very productive meeting, earlier, so.
Yep, and, the stormwater issues, alarm on 137th were discussed. Stormwater issues on the south side were discussed. Campground was discussed. Business use for lot 2 in the field was discussed. The word retail is in their documents, and that means many things. So, Don is, trying to work through some of that language to keep it,
Both here.
trying to, get this in a package that fits. As I say, it's 100 years worth, so it's rushed.
Just described as very accurate, very productive meeting at 5 today, and it appears over the course of the last few weeks, it's been that way staff level and going through the commission. Appreciate the schedule accommodation.
Yeah, I think that'll work.
It seems to be most mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
So,
Anybody have any questions on what was published on the 20th or so?
I think the information in the packet that we have regarding this is a fairly good read. As I've said before, I'm not interested in the legal pieces. I'm interested in the details that are 60 years old. So, because we had Nate in the room who has history, I have history, Dave has history, and we have the rest of the folks who look at this a little differently. It was a good powwow.
I'm trying to get it all night.
Okay, does anybody have anything else for Mr. Peterson?
I know there's a fly around.
Okay. Okay. All right, yes, we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we're good. Yes. Okay. Okay, item 8, is concept plan, for one lot subdivision. His name on here is Joseph Sidor. Is that correct pronunciation? Correct. Sidor, okay. Through a POA, Edward A. Sidor, 13616 Cedar Street, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is Joseph C. Svetnoff, 9801 Connecticut Street, Crown Point, Indiana. The city is 13616 Cedar Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is requesting preliminary plat for one lot subdivision, and a concept, for the same.
Mr. Chairman, good evening. My name is Joseph C. Svetnoff, 9801 Connecticut Drive, Crown Point, Indiana. As you stated correctly, we are requesting a one-lot subdivision. This is a meets and bounds survey that we need to convert over to make it a sellable lot.
Okay. Don, any initial thoughts?
This is kind of a unique parcel, I guess. It's currently an outlot in the subdivision. This subdivision has been replatted probably about 4 times since it was initially subdivided, and I think in like the 50s. So there's a pretty good grade difference from northwest to southeast. Which is minor. Well, there's a drainage concern, because we have one of the properties to the north has actually been on the stormwater agenda for the last several months. So that's something that should be at least discussed when it comes before Planning Commission. Whether it affects the actual one lot sub or not is up for discussion, but there is a drainage issue with their northeast corner.
Okay.
Which is actually Chuck Becker's parcel for full disclosure.
Right. And this, what? You didn't say stormwater and Chuck Becker in the same sentence. You certainly
Keep them on mute.
He'll crawl through the microphone. Don't turn it on.
I mean, as far as the one lot sub, I don't think it's a huge issue. An outlot can be subdivided into a lot. There's nothing no legal issue with that. There was nothing on the original subdivision plat that made it an outlot for any purpose. Not a drainage outlot. It's not an outlot in a real subdivision.
There were originally several outlots there. through there, I believe, from west to east.
There was a long outlot that existed pretty much from that road all the way out to Morse, and
That have
still
all become
exists
lots.
in some areas. Yeah, it was re-subdivided to be incorporated into the lots off 136th Place and 136th Ave.
Right.
This wasn't an old HOA outlot that was very common in these areas, was it?
I don't know who actually owned the original outlots. It could have been
I
an
think Bob
HOA.
Brandon built the subdivision.
I mean, if you look at the GIS, you can see
Yeah,
Woodland
I think so.
Shores
Brandon.
addition, re-subdivision. And there's re-subs of lots 5, 6, 7, and 10, re-subdivision of outlets I and I think O or J, or there's, we got over here, there's an H, an I, an F, a J outlot.
Old Cedar
It's a
Lake.
mess.
It's a mess. Yeah, the whole area, but I think what they're trying to do makes logical sense, right?
Yeah.
Now, are you gonna be asking for a waiver from the sidewalk requirement, Joe? I don't think there's any sidewalk in that subdivision, is there?
No, there's none at all. So we'd be asking for a waiver from the sidewalk.
There's no sidewalks over there, but what are we gonna do about the flooding issue?
Don's working on that.
There's no plan for development at this time on that lot. This is just similar to Ms. Hardig's, making it a lot of record.
Yep.
Oh, is that?
It is a meets and
Exactly
bounds
the same
parcel.
as the prior petitioner, so I would,
And this doesn't have a waterway on it per se, it's just an issue in their rear lot. So, I don't know where that's handled, if it's at the building level for an actual site plan for the structure itself, but
Well, I think,
So there's no structure on it?
no, this is an empty lot.
Oh, I thought I looked it on my phone earlier.
no.
Yeah, I thought it was a house on there, okay.
No, it's a totally empty lot.
Okay, and this kind of cleanup, we should encourage folks that have a, meets and bounds parcel to do what these folks are doing. And if there's a way legally to streamline this, that would be advantageous for our community.
well,
Because it's just an awful lot of money and time, but the DBGs and the Christopher Burke Engineering project,
You have to have basics for a plat con.
no, I
Just the basics.
yeah, you got it.
We don't need brain surgery,
Yeah.
for sure.
I guess,
Just keep it simple.
as presented, no one probably has any questions. However, you know, if this lot's gonna be sold, like Mrs. Hardig said, are we selling something that, somebody that's gonna come in here and, like, be walking right behind Chuck Becker?
But it doesn't matter. You have a piece of property and you sell the piece of property, it can be underwater and you can sell a piece of property, so it's,
Well,
you can't make people, by getting a lot of record, put in a retention pond. They're just selling a piece of property.
It's, that's up for debate.
we have engineers' comments, and the engineer's comment says there's a problem.
Well,
So,
We don't have a written report yet.
The problem is you gotta fix the flooding problem in that subdivision before you do anything.
well, if you remember
The person building
though,
the house will have to fix the
a
problem.
lot of the
Not
waivers,
the person selling the land.
stormwater
I think
detention,
life from that side of the room's on this side now.
yeah,
I just want you to know that.
it made him mad.
Don?
Well,
I mean, if
stormwater
the road
detention
goes
is
out-
typically a waiver for one-lot subdivisions because you anticipate building on that lot will not have, you know, a big change for the existing area. That may be different on this lot. That's the only reason I brought it up. This one's unique.
Chuck's right, this area is a known area for storm drainage issues, problems, if you will. But you have everything from caveat emptor in a buyer to the seller to full disclosure. You have to anticipate that a buyer of a parcel like this wants to do something with it, will do some investigating, do some due diligence. Exactly. But there's also a responsibility on the seller's part to disclose what they know and what's produced.
So,
That's
as-
handled in transactions.
So-
Parties.
as presented, stormwater is, a little discussion. That's what you're saying, Mr. Austin?
I'm sorry?
As presented, the stormwater is of little discussion.
Well, it's information, you don't ask your engineer to give you a report to just, you know, to not include it in the record, and noted
So-
as you are making your action.
So what's the pleasure of the council, the commission regarding, Don reviewing this in what detail?
First of all, gentlemen, if they're just cleaning up the lot to make it a lot of record, I don't feel he has to correct anything on it because he's not building. When somebody, whether it's sold or they go ahead to build something on it, then they have to come in and they're gonna have to deal with whatever the inequities are on it, whether it be stormwater or whatever, erosion or whatever. So as I see it, if he's just here to make it a piece of property of record and clean up the meets and bounds, then I think we shouldn't put a lot of pressure on him to do other things. As far as having Don do a report, the court's just before us. Let's get the report, have the report on file, so if somebody does come in, wants to buy the property or wants to go ahead and build, you can pull the file out and say, here's the report on it. This is what you're gonna have to contend with. You gotta put the back of the house in 10-foot stilts so you can put a basement in the front.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
to me, it sounds simple.
They actually don't need to be here to sell the property. If they wanna just sell it, they can sell it. Don't need a subdivision lot of record.
Right, but they're trying to.
I understand, that means that somebody wants to build on it. The reason they're here for the lot of record is not only to sell it, but to pull a permit so that a home or some structure can be constructed on it under Cedar Lake's rules and regulations.
Well, somebody, we just want to clean up the lot right now on the meets and bounds survey, so we want to do the right thing. So,
There you have it.
Yep. I'm good.
Well, okay, nobody has any questions?
I agree with John.
Chuck, if I ask Chuck Becker if he has any questions, there's no problem.
But, well, Chuck has a bigger, grander, logical reason for saying it. We as a town need to find out. I thought we spent a lot of money on that subdivision, didn't we?
Not relevant to
Or is that
this right
Cedar Point
now.
Park? Not all of it tonight.
Yeah, so.
Neither go. You're right.
Spend time in
9
that
o'clock.
subdivision.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe not
Right.
that
Hasn't been
subdivision.
fixed.
Where's that, right next to Yacht Club?
No.
North?
It's, north of that.
North of Yacht Club?
Okay, regarding the concept for one lot subdivision, petitioner, Mr. Smetnoff, does anybody have any more questions?
No, sir.
No, sir? Okay.
All right.
great, how are you?
You good?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Have a great night, and thank you for your service to your
Right.
community.
Mr. President,
Very good.
Mr. President,
Yes,
would
sir.
you allow Jill to clarify for the record what proceeds from here with this petitioner?
This item would come back to you to your August 4th work session, and then with the anticipated August 18th
Okay.
public hearing.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you again for your time.
Yep, thank you, sir. Have a good
Staff's
night.
been great to work with as well. Thank you.
I thought that bird lived in, Robin.
It's his first policy. And he rents it out. And he had all kinds of.
Yeah.
That,
I,
always been followed.
Yeah,
that's that one.
Right on the lake from 700,000, just been for sale.
Yeah.
The lot, it's his lot right behind it,
Oh.
across the street.
Maybe those people are gonna buy that house.
Oh, is that it, Heather? Okay.
I was just, there was another dynamic that I wrote that I thought was interesting.
You're correct on that.
Yes, yes. There was no eye contact between council. I don't know, not much.
Not much.
Not much. Okay. Item 9, Weir's Concept Plan and Rezone. Owners Jeff Weir's, Electric Power Solutions LLC, 712 St. John. Vicinity is 12828 Wicker Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is requesting a rezone from an R2 to a B3. Name and address for the record.
Good evening. Ryan Maravich, DVG Team, 1155 Troutline Road, Crown Point, Indiana. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Weirs, who is part of Electric Power Solutions, which is currently in St. John, and it's my understanding they're an electrical contractor. They purchased the property here at 12828 Wicker, which is currently I believe it's a residential, single-family home. And they're looking to make that into, not the home, I'm sorry, the lot, tear down that house and put up a building for their contractor's business. And it's currently zoned R2, and in order to do that, to do what they're requesting to do, we will need to rezone this to B3.
Okay, will electrical contractor really, require B3?
We just went through it earlier, yes.
And why wouldn't it be a B2?
Currently, it would need a special exception if it were going to be in B2, so that's why they're asking for B3. It's a by right allowed use in B3.
Rick, would this be the type of end use that we should have a zoning commitment for and lock in the use?
Absolutely.
Well, I've got a different opinion of that. To me, there's no better place in this town for B3 zoning than Route 41.
Yeah, I think we should make it all zoned in our town limits, B3, both sides of the street.
I agree.
Be done.
It doesn't get any more highway commercial in this town than Route 41. So the commitment then is specific to that use. But to me, that signals that we're afraid of any other, or concerned about, I shouldn't say afraid, we're concerned about any other B3 use that might go in there. And I don't think we should be.
I agree.
Route 41 should be B3, just my opinion.
Is that what's pulled up right there?
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
And I think it goes
Oh.
bigger picture than that. If we send the signal, and yes, some landowners that live on 41 are gonna make a profit. When we change their R2 zoning to B3, who cares? When we send that signal that we want 41 to be B3, you're gonna see the dominoes start to fall. And we're gonna see voluntary annexation start to happen. It's completely logical. I go through little towns in Wisconsin, I go through little towns in Illinois, all the time. And I watch what happens when they do intelligent things. And that would be an intelligent thing for our community to do from a development standpoint, because that's where we want development. The B3 belongs there.
I don't ask the question because I drive through Wisconsin villages and
Yeah.
hills and dales like you do. I drive by 129th and Route 41.
Right.
And I ask the question only because of the location of the property and the vacant 38 acres that is there, which in some respects is ultimately, it is close, it's nearby, is ultimately the hopeful landing place for some really substantial development. I don't know what it is, we don't, none of us do.
Right.
But the commitment being that we lock down what we're getting against everything that's around it, that being that oversized parcel, that large parcel. That's the only reason. It's about location.
I see.
Not about the theory. I agree with the theory. B3 is what our highway should be. It just came out of our zoning for our comprehensive plan update.
Right.
Makes total sense. But remembering, you need to watch everything on the highway, given that large piece of land.
And I don't disagree that this is a perfect use for this property. My concern is what other B3s should be there.
I think anything that's on our new list or old list would be fine there. I don't see anything detrimental. And if we think there's some things that are detrimental, we should take them out of our B3.
That's the bigger issue. If we're concerned with the uses, then let's modify the uses in B3.
Yep.
But Route 41 should be B3.
Yep.
So, there would be, screening on all those R2 lots?
Yeah.
You've heard the 8-foot fence story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would, we haven't gotten far at all in the development, but I would anticipate.
Well, this is a great use for this property. I have no.
We would likely meet, I don't any waivers or variances other than the rezone.
Are they planning on using majority of the property, because there's a drainage issue on the back part? There's a finger that runs through there from the big parcel.
It, probably, I would anticipate that they'd wanna.
There's a substantial amount of area rules through there, so caution you.
Okay.
Is this, with that said,
It's one of the tributaries that gets near Wicker Meadows.
yeah, is this something that you planning on bringing in 2 weeks?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just your concept,
Yeah.
Yeah.
whether we
You
wind
throw-
up in August.
You throw water and Wicker Meadows in the same
Don't give
sentence,
that
and
That's my job.
I'm glad you're paying attention, watching him. You can
Only Jack
you
can
can learn a
answer
few things.
that. Only Jack can answer there's such things in 2 weeks.
I think that's the beginning of the giant detention pond.
No.
Don't say flooding.
One of those smaller
Okay.
fingers.
Does anybody have any questions about, this item
No.
that's in front of us?
No, sir.
Here's the concept plan, no, no,
We would
Chuck?
anticipate having this back in front of you in August, provided everything's ready
For a work session.
for a work session
Okay.
and public hearing.
Yeah, and it may not even be August, it may be more.
It may be
or
later.
sort-
If we're
September.
ready, it'll be August.
September, October.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that,
Yeah.
that water has to be dealt with
Here.
there, that water has to be dealt with quite delicately.
Yeah. I'm sure that probably, I don't know, I haven't gotten into this too much other than this rezoning, but I'm sure that's probably being talked about. Yeah, it's something we'll have to look at and take care of
Yep.
that.
Okay,
Very good, thank you.
all right, have a good night, thanks. Okay.
Is that really it?
Up there.
Update items?
We can't leave.
Just read those real fast, Jerry.
Yeah.
Like you read that letter.
Oh, that was good.
That was real good.
Okay, resolution number 2021-02. We're.
Your rules and regs are tying with your zoning ordinance amendment.
Okay. Item 2, performance letter of credit for Centennial Estates.
Items 2 and 3 can be removed from this list.
Okay. Summer Winds, Unit 1, performance letter of credit expires August 15th.
Because of the timing of the schedule and calendar, this will be an item on your agenda in 2 weeks.
They will most likely be extended to the end of the year. And Jack can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it'll sync with units 2 and 3's letter of credit that expire in December. And the plan is to have them all roll into one maintenance letter of credit
Oh, that's
to clean it up.
Yeah.
The intent.
Okay, let's see, Centennial Phase 15, performance letter of credit expires September 5th. We're just watching that.
We're just watching that one. That
Any
one will be in
correspondence?
August.
Any correspondence from them at all?
Yeah, we have.
I have an update. This is the guinea pig for, putting the final coat of asphalt on right away. And to be honest with you, it didn't perform very well. So, it got scratched up pretty good. They didn't take very good care of it whatsoever. So it's most likely gonna be our recommendation that they mill it off and put it back.
Ooh, how expensive.
But they were warned to take care of it, and there's 5 roll-off dumpsters being moved around to each house.
We didn't,
Stuff the hell out of it.
they weren't our dice to roll.
No. So, there's gonna be some punch list items ahead on that one. No, it's Centennial Phase 15.
They're alerted to this. It's not gonna be a shock to them.
The letter's not out yet, but we've done our inspections, I just need to put it in writing. And Tim's looked at it too, and he's agreed, so. They were warned.
Well,
That's why we don't do that.
They've had a tendency to we warned them to not put their dumpsters on the curb because they were screwing the curb up. Now they just put it straight on the surface and screw the surface up. So,
Well, even that new subdivision, the new.
I mean, this is a small one. There's 20 lots in there, not even.
20 lots, no.
And it's been down for less than a year.
Well, there you have
So
it.
there's a reason that 80%
I
clause is in the
cruised through Beacon
development.
Point East the other day on a motorcycle, and it's got a bunch of broken curbs.
That's a train wreck
Stand
too.
focus here, number 6.
Thank you.
So, it'll be an update.
You know, John's here, once in a
Come on
while.
now, come on
in
now.
full, and, full attention.
Come on
yeah,
now, come
full
on now,
attention.
come on
Otherwise,
now.
Zooming's not the same with John.
That's right.
Full Zoom. So, yeah. Item number 6, Domino's preliminary plat and site plan.
That one's still in your background.
Is that Domino's and Dunkin'?
Domino's, not sure on the Dunkin' part.
Potentially? Maybe.
Yes.
They're working on it.
They're working on
Doug
it.
and I have had some discussion.
And this is
Working on
gonna
it.
be, kind of running at an angle from the, public launch? Okay. All right, the fee in lieu of sidewalk. Mr. Everly says that perhaps there's something we can do,
There's movement on
more
that.
immediately to get this under wraps.
Yes, Mr. President, I've taken the letter that Don distributed on December 2nd of last year, put it into David, a basic ordinance form that I need to send over to you. I just did this yesterday, but I'd like to put this on your August study session agenda to talk about this, and I think, Jill, we could probably advertise it for public hearing for August 18th. I'm going to get this, I'll distribute this to the Plan Commission members tomorrow, and I need to get it to Dave so he can put it into legalese, but it takes what Don, and I assume all of you came up with last year, and puts it into an ordinance form pretty close to ready for adoption, I would expect.
Okay. All right, is there any public comments?
You have no attendees online.
No attendees online, thank you. And I will call this meeting over.
Are we meeting at 6 for next work session as well then?